I've got 3 high-ticket sales call reviews for you, all progressing in order of difficulty. So these are my calls. I'm going to show you me selling 3 different offers. Protocols sales training is the first one, where I have to handle fear and uncertainty because he was burned in the past by another program. I have to handle that in discovery. Second call is selling a high-ticket e-commerce offer, so an e-commerce BizOp, where I have to handle more fear, but fear about the past, things that have gone on, his uncertainty with investing in himself, his uncertainty with investing in coaching, with training. There's a lot of framing that I have to do there. Third call, dating offer, one of my classic calls, one of the best objection handling calls that I've had, at least when I first started getting really, really, really good at sales. And you can see the difference in how I handled objections then versus how I handle objections now. A lot of lessons there, and they're progressing in order of difficulty. So the first call, thank you, son, for coming out and blessing my face. First call, not so difficult. Second call, a little more difficult. Third call, straight objections for 20 minutes. This is a long training. There's a lot of sauce, a lot of value here. Take it, learn from it. If there's any way that I can help you, all the links that we've got are down below if you want to dive in, look more about what I do. But let's go ahead and get into the value. There's a lot that you can take for your own calls if you're a high-ticket sales rep. Let's get into some training. Okay, so our first call out of the 3 that we're going to review is a protocols demo call. So this is someone who was interested in protocols. He'd been burned in the past by a previous sales training program that was not good, that wasn't what he expected. And in this call, we're going to go into the discovery here. There was no objections. It was completely objectionless. Spoiler alert. I want you guys to understand how and why it was objectionless, because I do a lot to create a massive amount of trust with him here. And I create a lot of frames that are going to build trust, that are going to build investment on his end in our process. And again, the big theme is create a lot of trust. So when you have a prospect who has been burned in the past, this can help. This is the first one we're going to look at, and it's a great deep dive into discovery and how to run your discovery process very cleanly. We actually reviewed this inside of our protocols training program because it was a really good call to look at. And he became a protocols client. He's a great client, and we were able to spend time working with him. So let's break down. Let's look at what happens. I am exhausted. I just finished a 90-minute one-to-one call with Husham.
Good stuff.
Yeah, if you're working with us, you'll know him. He'll be your performance coach, and he's also a one-to-one client of mine. So I was just doing that. How about yourself? What's your day been? What you been up to today?
Yeah, just getting up so far. So
it's early, right? Because you're in the US. So what time zone?
Eastern, so 7:30 here.
When I open my calls, I always like to start off with a bit of light banter. And one thing I always leverage when I'm opening my calls is something called a pattern interrupt, which is basically me breaking the rules of engagement on the sales call and me saying that the way that I'm going to interact with you, the way that I'm going to format this call is not going to be how it's supposed to be formatted, which is like set some harsh agenda. I do set an agenda for a lot of my calls, and you'll see how I do that on the next call, which is an ecomm offer where I have to actually handle fear of past with this guy. So that's a really, really good one to look at, the next one. But on this call, I don't necessarily need to do all that, also because it's my own offer. But when I open calls, I generally try to keep things very chill, and then I do set an agenda. But for this one, I wanted to just keep it chill, break the ice, keep it light, nothing too serious. That's generally how I run my calls. And not everyone needs to do this, but I like to let the air out of the room and not apply pressure at the top. You in New York, New Jersey?
South Carolina. Yeah.
Go into them as if I don't know them. Let's jump into sales. We'll see if we can help, and we'll go from there. And if we can, then I'll hit you and break everything down. And if you feel like it's a good fit, we'll do it. If not, then I'll attempt to handle your objections, and we'll go from there. How are things in sales? What's going on?
Yeah. So right now I was working as an analyst. I just moved into working in flooring sale. So it's maybe you could say like high ticket. And basically the average deal is like 5 to 10K plus.
That's high ticket. Yep.
And then 100% commission. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I just basically been doing that maybe a month now. And then my goal is to move into high ticket. So I've done basically like a high ticket coaching program, but I just wasn't happy with the results that I was getting with it.
Yeah, Frank mentioned it.
Okay, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm looking to do. And then,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, please.
So, and then part of the reason that I wanted to do...
One of the important things in sales is being able to understand when to interrupt and when not to, right? So in this moment, I was about to interrupt him because the rule that I always have for all of our people that we train is whatever you're going to ask should be, the answer you want should be more valuable than whatever the prospect was giving you originally if you're going to cut them off. So if you're cutting someone off, which I don't mind you cutting people off, but if you're going to, whatever you ask needs to be more valuable, or the answer that you get needs to be more valuable than whatever the prospect originally was going to say. So in this moment, I was like, okay, I think there's something I want to ask him here. I don't remember exactly what I wanted to ask, but there's something that I want to ask him here. If I'm looking back at right now, if I were to think what I would want, maybe I would set a financial holy grail. Like, where do you want to be? What's the goal income-wise with sales? So I can contrast where he wants to be versus where he is now. That's usually where I tend to go very quickly in my calls. So that's probably what I was going to ask, but it looked like he was going to add something else in that may have actually been more valuable than whatever I would have asked. Thus, I said, never mind, you can go ahead.
What I'm looking to do. And then,
Okay.
go ahead.
No, please, please.
So, and then part of the reason that I wanted to do like I was actually, my thinking was like, I'll do this, the coaching program that I tried. I'll move into high ticket. And then like my thinking along those lines was like, oh, I don't have the basically skill set that they're looking for to do high ticket closing, setting, pay that much. I'll do the.
So do you see how this was so valuable? Because he's giving me context into his high ticket journey, and now he's saying that his relationship to skill set and getting skills training is actually something that he values and something that he needs to do, which was so valuable, and I wouldn't have gotten that if I cut him off. So I'm happy I didn't cut him off here. It was a good decision.
The flooring option.
Okay.
And also, I was just kind of seeing offers that were out there, and I didn't, to my fault, I didn't go very far with it. At the same time, it's kind of my confidence in that path was undermined by the what I saw in the program. And just, kind of the initial like offer or stall or something like that. So anyway, then I was thinking, the flooring sales will be more solid,
Okay.
like an actual building and real people and stuff like that. So anyway, so I was like,
You're working in flooring sales remotely, or you're working inside of a complex location?
yeah, so we're doing in-home appointments.
Oh, I see.
They set appointments for us, and we go and meet with people in their homes.
Interesting. Okay. Continue. And if it's 100% commission, what don't you like about that? Because you've been in it for a month, so why are you trying to leave it?
So one of the things that's important, again, when you're running discovery, your goal of getting what you want to get out of discovery in every single call is you want to figure out what's going on in your present circumstances that you're not happy with, and how is working with us going to be the thing that helps you change, take control of, modify, grow past your present circumstances, right? But in order to do that, we need to establish a common ground of what they're not happy with in the present, in their current circumstances. So that's what I'm doing here. Because I could just ask him all these questions and just say, okay, what are you looking for? Where do you want to be? But if I'm not anchoring to what are you not happy with in the present and what are we trying to change? How have you tried to fix this in the present also? Then I don't really have anything to sell on, because we're trying to get our prospect to go from level 1 in their life to level 5, right? But in order to do that, we need them to recognize and realize and place on the table, verbalize, I'm at level 1. So that's what I'm trying to do here, because I still don't understand, if you're at a job where you can make 100% commission, seems like you've been doing it for a month, why are you trying to leave? It should be working out for you. And what's interesting is when he started working with us, actually, he started doing quite well in his other sales job, the flooring sales. He started doing very well because of the stuff he'd been learning in protocols, funny enough.
The driving is stuff like it's just not a productive use of time. So just as an example, like yesterday, it was like literally like a 4-hour round trip for one sales call. So I don't think that's just a good use of time relative to like you'd be talking with people. I also want the sort of like freedom of location and that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
So those are kind of the two things.
What are you bringing in with flooring month to month, or what's the income, I guess, earning potential with this month to month?
I mean, so my boss is saying, like when I met with him, he told me like 130K. He said, potential of 200K. I think there's, that could potentially be there. I think in my current income, kind of where I'm probably at like 2 to 3K per month at the moment.
Okay, but 2 to 3K per month with flooring sales.
Yes.
You've only been in it for 1 month though, so I assume you don't have a bigger data set of like a track record of 6 months or something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for this month, you're pacing for 2. Okay, gotcha. And what's the goal for you, I guess, with high ticket remote?
So see, now we've clearly identified what actually is not, I wouldn't say not working necessarily, but where he's not fully happy and fully satisfied. Driving is crazy. He has this earning potential, but the earning potential isn't something he's going to make soon, right? So we have this level of disturbance, this level of discomfort with his current state, and we can build off to that. The first stage in discovery is called current state. Where are you at right now? We're setting a stage for where you're at, and then we need to contrast it with where you're trying to be, right? That's the current state. So we have that identified now.
Sales, like what's the target for you? Realistically, let's say within the next 6 to 12 months, what would be a sweet spot?
See, this is the question I was going to ask him earlier anyways, and I'm asking it to him now.
For you.
Yeah. So it would be 10K, 20K, and then the reason that I wanted to do the flooring sales is because like I was working on basically like went down the whole kind of Bitcoin rabbit hole.
Okay.
And
It's doing very well right now. I'm very happy with my portfolio.
yeah, that's what you could.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am basically like halfway through recording a course on that, and so kind of part of the reason I wanted to do the flooring sales job was that I thought that I would have more time flexibility to complete that.
Mm.
And then I recognize that I have basically like some level of kind of like I haven't done it before, so like there might be some kind of like level of gap between me being able to bring that kind of to the marketplace at the same time that I did invest in like a course building course. So that's kind of where I'm at, and like that's one of my goals is to like build that out.
Okay, makes sense. What was going on with the other program that you didn't like or weren't happy with?
So now that I've established the reason and the context for why he's trying to make a pivot, where he's essentially trying to get to, I've established this, so we're aware of it now. I want to start going and looking at what happened in the past, because one of the questions in our discovery scripting, and if you don't know this, you should be inside of our school community, by the way, or join my newsletter, because you get the same information in both places. The link is down below this video to join the newsletter or join our school Quantum Level. It's called, if you go to school.com, skool.com/quantum level, you can access a lot of my frameworks and different call recordings I have, live trainings we have. So it is free, by the way, completely free to join. So one of the things that's interesting is I know that he had done a program in the past because our SDR, Frank, he told me that. That's one. And then he brought it up here himself that he'd done something in the past. So I want to go into a dialogue and have a conversation around what happened in the past so I can begin to pre-frame it. I don't believe in pre-handling because the objection doesn't exist until they actually give the objection. So I hate when people say pre-handle objections. Dumb, but pre-framing concerns, which is where there may be a concern, some level of potential resistance, and I frame the conversation in the best possible light so that that concern does not turn into an objection. Hear the difference? So we do not teach it as pre-handle objections. We teach it as pre-frame a concern, pre-frame something before it becomes an objection. Preventing an objection, you could even say. So what I want to do here is I want to go into a dialogue on what happened before. And what you'll find is I don't really have to handle it as intensely as I thought I would because he kind of goes into it himself. But I'll explain. You'll see in a second.
Happy with what was happening there?
Lack of basically like professionalism and sort of like, I mean, so it was just kind of like they like pissed out, kind of like 5-minute training module type thing.
Okay.
And
how much did you invest in it?
$5,000.
So it was proper high ticket then. Okay, that's industry prices. Okay.
Yeah, and then failure on my part to properly evaluate the sort of the offer and all that, or even like look for more offers. That kind of thing. Meaning
the offer meaning the coaching program that you invested in. That it was your failure to vet them. You're saying
exactly. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. What else were you seeing that was missing? I guess
So when there's something that happened in the past that wasn't good, when there's something that like in the past they've been burned. The past they've dealt with something similar to what you sell and you find that out in discovery, what you're trying to do is get as much information within reason around what wasn't working back then so that you can sell against it, right? So if I have someone, and again, like you just say an ecomm offer, you're selling ecomm and they've been in a program and in the program they didn't teach enough about ads. What I need to do is find that out as clearly as possible so that I can sell against it when I pitch what we do and I can talk about how we teach everything ads, if that makes sense. I need to go against it. Dating offer, because I was selling a dating offer. I'll show you guys a dating call as well from one of my calls where I had to handle objections with this guy on a dating offer. Really, really good call to review. I was with him for a bit in objections. And if you get objections on fear of the past, I was in a dating coaching program and there was not a lot of support. I need to know that and label that and hear that so that I can pitch against it when I talk about what we do. Because when I talk about what we do, it's going to go against whatever they did as a program. Makes sense? We're going to show visually even. I might even show the program, and I do that here with him. I literally go into and show our program. I visually show him. So remember he said a second ago that they had 5-minute videos. In protocols training, our videos are not 5 minutes. We have I don't know how many, like probably over 500 hours of course material, and the videos are very long, they're detailed, they're intense, they're in depth, because we have so much training that we do, because we train 8 times a week. So I know that we'll just destroy the program that he was in. I know that. So I don't even need to handle it or anything per se. all I could do is visually show him proof that what we do is different than whatever he got burned in the past, which is going to allow me to sell him because I'm giving him visual proof, right? But let's say that the problem wasn't the program, and let's say that, or it wasn't the amount of training, and the problem was instead the level of support that they got. Then I would talk about our commitment and how much support and intimacy he gets in our program, which we have that too, right? Like you have a one-on-one coach, performance coach, and you work with me one-on-one, like all that. So I would tell him that as well. Right. So whatever thing was missing with them, I'm just going to find a way to pitch against it. That's why we need to get clarity on what happened. Quotes around it, but what were some things? So, okay. What else were you seeing that was missing? I guess I shouldn't put quotes around it, but what were some things? So, crappy course material and all that stuff. Was there a high, extreme level of support and accountability in it, or what was going on? So what I'm doing is I'm kind of cheating. I'm saying, was there an extreme level of support and accountability? Because I assume that there won't be, right? Because most coaching programs do not have a good amount of support. So I'm going to assume that there was not a good amount of support and an extreme level of accountability. I'll assume that, make that assumption. So I'm going to ask him, was that there? Because I know that it wasn't going to be there, right? And it's a risk. Maybe he would say it was there, and then I'll adjust and I'll recover. But this is a risk I'm willing to take because I know in most coaching programs, especially one that it sounds like he dealt with, there probably was not an extreme level of accountability, extreme level of support. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, they had like sort of like scheduled calls and everything.
So to hear the tone, listen to the tonality. He's saying, yeah, they had scheduled calls and everything, but it doesn't sound like he's like, yes, there was a lot of support. That wasn't the issue. Clearly, the support was lacking, and I can use that again when I pitch.
And it was helpful, but it's like
see, there's the but. It was helpful, but you can hear there's a but coming from him.
I don't know. It's just kind of my confidence in it was undermined at a certain point. Like I'll just give you an example. Like, so the guy who was leading like some of the training calls, he was just like sitting there eating like his Cocoa Puffs, and like smoking, and I was just kind of like, okay, bro, like, and then no, it didn't look like he had kind of a plan as far as he was just kind of like, okay, I'll pull something out of my ass to talk with the guys about this morning. I mean, and he had like a career in sales and so on, but that was the sort of.
I gotcha. Wish I could tell you guys who this person is, because all of you were going to all these coaching programs and just getting cooked by some of the worst coaches in the industry. Just because you made money in sales doesn't mean you have a good coaching program. I get you. No, there's a difference between being good in sales and having done. Ha! Great minds think alike. I didn't know I was going to say that. Well, it looks like I say it. I get you. No, there's a difference between being good in sales and having done that well versus being able to coach it, teach it, and like lead a program. There's a difference. I'll talk to you when I pitch you. I'll tell you more about kind of how our stuff looks, and I'll give you more of an inside look at it more than I do normally when I run demo calls, because I think you just might need that because you have been burned. So I'll try to be as super transparent and just show you inside it what it looks like. But yeah, there's a difference. Tell me about your transition to high ticket and like I'll call it remote because you're already selling high ticket. So this is interesting, right? What I'm going to do here is when I pitch him and I go into the pitch later, I'm not going to share that part because it's not necessary. And yeah, well, I only share my pitch really if we're going to do a demo call together. So, but later when I pitch him, I actually give him a substantial amount of visual evidence and visual proof into what we do. Like I go into a lot of detail around what we do. I show him everything. So my handling him having been burned ended up being done in the pitch. I pitched for a long time. Let's see. This is the screen share. You can see because I share my screen when I pitch sometimes. So the pitch went from 30 minutes to around like 50 minutes. So it was almost a 20-minute pitch, which is a long time. Normally, my pitches take around 10 to 12 minutes, give or take. But I pitched him a long time. Why? Because I felt he needed that visual evidence to overcome the pain and not the pain, but the burn that had been in the past. That's what I felt. And I did, and it did work. And it was an objection that was paid in full. Ticket. So I'll call it remote. Where do we fit into that? If you did work with us, where do we fit into that transition? Meaning, what do you feel like you're lacking right now where you need training, coaching, guidance? What's that bridge that you're trying to cross?
Yeah, just skill set and opportunity. I already have like an offer pipeline from the other program, and I think that's relatively decent. Like you might know, I don't know if you know Jackson Bardsley, but he's
I do. I just talked to Jackson yesterday. Me and Jackson are quite cool. Yeah.
I mean, I have confidence that basically Jackson knows what he's doing. The guy I was working with is well, it's like I don't want to like throw shade at him, but
it's fine.
Anyway, so I have confidence that like Jackson basically has like well, even the fact that like you're cool with him, I take that as
we actually have a partnership with Jackson now. It's amazing. So if any of you ever come in here, we have an amazing partnership for finding offers. We have like 10 to 15 new offers a day posted inside of our community. It's crazy. Jackson has many opportunities actually. We were in the middle of speaking to him about bringing him on as a contractor to bring his opportunities into our program. We haven't pulled the trigger on it right now because our
But yeah, me and him have a great. So you were saying skill set opportunity. Where does skill set fit in? Because it seems like the opportunities piece is not your biggest bottleneck. Then, in terms of skill set, what are you seeing there as a bottleneck?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, I think a piece of it would be just kind of like the knowledge, the kind of worked to like basically watch like sales videos and learn, kind of like advance my skill set. But I don't know, I think like a structured, in-depth course would be helpful. I did start going through like I joined the school community video maybe a day or
Okay.
two. And I was like watching
Okay.
those videos.
I saw you opt into my newsletter too. I saw your name come through.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
I hadn't checked that out yet, but that's kind of like where I'm at the moment. And as far as
What?
like, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically like,
So you see how I keep wanting to cut him off, but in this call, everything that he's saying to me is really, really helpful. And you can tell he's been in sales. He understands sales because the language he's using and the words he's using are very, very helpful to actually move the call forward. And it's not even like in bad faith, like yeah, he's saying things that are going to help me close in this weird way. No, he's just saying information that's very, very helpful for him being able to make a change, being able to make a decision that's going to make him more money, right? So I understood that. So I'm pulling back a lot on cutting off. I'm not anchoring towards like, let me cut him off, because he is giving very, very helpful information, and I don't need to just take charge and cut him off for the sake of it. Even though I do want to at times, I pull back. All right. And now what I've done is I've asked him explicitly how we can help him. This is not a question that I use all the time. I don't like using this constantly, especially if it's on an offer where there is more data. So if they're on an offer and the prospect is already doing things, meaning they're already taking a significant amount of action. Let's pretend this guy was already on an offer. He was making money, but he was struggling to make, let's say, more than 4 or 5K per month, and he was stuck at that limit, right? Then I would have a conversation with him around getting him to 10, 15, 20K, because I know that's clearly a limit he has, and he's doing things actively in sales to try to get past that limit, right? However, for this call, because he isn't really on a high ticket offer, I had to ask him, how can we help, and what are you looking for out of us? Right, which he answers, and it breaks open a good conversation.
So like structured in-depth program is like would be helpful, and then just kind of like basically I'm looking for like a bridge or like a roadmap to move into high ticket. So
okay. In terms of skill set, because it's an interesting one. I like that you said skill set times opportunity. That's our slogan. I assume you saw the pre-call material and stuff we sent over. What caused you to realize that it's skill set? Because a lot of people don't realize that, and we have to do a lot of convincing, at least initially, and then they get into an offer and they realize it. For you, it seems like you've come to that realization already, and you're pretty congruent with that, just in things you're saying here. So what made you realize, okay, skill set is a huge factor in high ticket sales?
Yeah, I mean,
so what I'm doing is he's essentially operating within the framework of what we sell on, what we teach. What I teach all my people in protocols is that you have your skill set, you have your opportunities. Those two things combined are going to change your life and make you a bunch of money. And all of our reps who are doing 10, 15, 20, 25K plus, they understand this, right? Now, for him, because he's already saying good things here, but I don't want to cut my discovery short and just take it at face value. So I want to challenge him and get into the drivers behind why he's actually aligned with this. Because I don't want to just take it at face value like he's saying it just to say it, right? I need him. Remember this, guys. When you're running discovery on live calls, when you're running discovery, the prospect needs to label the position that they're coming from. They have to actually talk about it and have a dialogue on it. It's not enough for the prospect to just say something once. I want them to explain why, or I want them to explain when, or I want them to explain how, or I want them to explain who. I want them to add context or what. I want them to explain and give a dialogue and label and give context, meaning behind the things that they believe or the things that they say are true as it relates to our offer and what we sell, because that makes the call more powerful. That gives you much more of an anchor to pitch on and gives you much more of an anchor to close on.
And it was just kind of just kind of as soon as I like started interviewing, I mean, I already knew that like I didn't have kind of like the, I don't know, maybe I didn't feel that I didn't have the level of certainty or confidence with what I sort of where I was at skill set wise. It's like I was like, okay, maybe I can swing it or something. But and then the other piece of it was, it's like as I kind of initially got started with looking for offers, that was a big hang up as far as a lot of the people were like, well, what's your experience and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And as an analyst coming from a space which I assume is very you're sitting at a computer looking at data and charts or whatever that would be. Why sales? Because it is very, very different. So why? So here's another level of challenging. And if you're going to sell high ticket, you have to be okay challenging prospects. Sitting back
in just kind of allowing prospects to talk without challenging and exploring. Wait a second, why is this the case? Or wait a second, why do you believe that? Or why are you communicating this? Or why do you think that that's true? If you're not willing to do that, you're going to struggle in high ticket sales. You have to be able to challenge. You have to be able to have a dialogue with someone where you actively challenge their belief systems, you actively challenge the perspectives that they're coming from. Okay, and this is a live example of me challenging. Why are you picking this as your place to plant your flag?
Yes, because basically, like I didn't see a path forward with being an analyst to get where I wanted to go, specifically along skill and income lines. So it's like I wanted to basically be in a vehicle where I could like double my income instead of get like a 5% raise. Yay.
Okay, makes sense. Why not something like ecomm or something like just? I'm sure you.
Do you see how I don't let the answer just go with itself? Because he's an analyst. Coming from an analyst background, it still doesn't fully make sense to me that he wants to come into high ticket sales, which is actually very difficult and relies on communication. So I challenge him one level, he validates it and responds, passes the challenge, then I ask him again. This is how you sell from a place of strength, not a place of weakness. Selling from a place of strength looks like you taking a position in your own on your calls where you're looking at the person, you're saying we're equals here. I'm not trying to sell you and hope that I get lucky from you buying. You're not taking that position as a sales rep. Instead, you're saying we have value that we can provide you, we could change your life, but you need to prove to me why we should bring you in. And it is not from a place of ego. It doesn't mean that you're saying you have to really, really lean into this hard on a sales call. So try to understand the nuance of what I'm saying. But I'm not just sitting back and asking a few questions and hoping then the person buys. I'm actually challenging them and exploring, why is this a good fit? Why is it that we could actually help you? Show me how we can help. That's the position I'm taking as a rep. And that's going to make you a lot of money.
I'm sure you're aware that there are other ways of going online and making money. Why not something like that?
Yeah. So I mean, well, I mean, like I guess maybe I'm not sold on the idea of kind of like I think there's probably more opportunity in sales than in ecom is kind of my perception at this point in time. At the same time that I'm sure there's people out there. I think there's people out there that make ecom work. But I also view it as kind of like my motivation to go into sales is kind of like I view it as like the next brick that I need for what I want to build.
Okay,
understood. Like my skill set, and also along the idea of kind of launching the Bitcoin course and that kind of thing.
Yep. Huge. I assume with the course there would be some level of support, or eventually, if you didn't want to make that a business that you grew, there would probably be some level of community or coaching or education involved as well. I would assume so.
I'm sorry.
With the Bitcoin course that you're creating or will be creating, I'm sure that over time there would be some level of education or coaching or teaching component, which would make it high ticket then. So you have to sell it at a certain point.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, like whatever I'm at is like I've created like a kind of in-depth PowerPoint, maybe like 200 slides or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I've recorded like I basically have like 14 modules and I've recorded half. So maybe like an hour and a half of content, something like that. At the moment, gotcha. I might be wrong with that, but yeah.
No, it makes sense. And I'll explain why I'm asking the questions in this way, or this specific question about you in sales. The way we train is very exhaustive, meaning, and I don't know how familiar you are with my YouTube content, but I speak about this sometimes in videos and things like that. We train this kind of like it's a military boot camp. It's fun. We have a great time. We have a great community. We have a great time, but it is exhausting. Like literally yesterday, or not yesterday, when did I do my last session? Wednesday. I challenged someone to do a certain role play, and just in the middle, his brain like broke, and he just like stopped and teared up. This never ever really happens, but it did happen this time. And he kind of teared up and then bounced. And I messaged him afterwards. I was like, "Bro, you're good, bro. Like we love him, but he's trying to get better, right?" So the reason I asked it is because you say what?
It's a drill sergeant Tim.
There's no negativity, so I'm not screaming at anybody, just so you know. But there's standards we have. And I'll give you more context as to why it's like this. But the reason I asked you all those questions is because if we do work with you, and if you decide we're a good fit for you as well, you have to like sales. Meaning you don't need to make sales your whole passion, your whole life, but you are going to have to go through a period where.
So I just challenged him pretty hard on his belief systems and the position he's taking coming into this call. And now that I've challenged him and he passed the challenge, I'm actually validating his response by giving him back something. So I'm saying, by the way, all good. Just so you know, this is why I challenged you in that way. This is where I'm coming from. Not bad faith. I just needed to, this is part of my process, and to know where you're coming from, what position you're taking, right? So I'm not challenging to challenge from a place of ego, because that's not helpful. That's never helped anyone. But instead, I am challenging him from a place of awareness, from a place of, if we have a dialogue around what's going on, if we have a dialogue around the position that you're taking in your life when it comes to sales, and to see if we can help you, I'm definitely absolutely going to pry, and I'm going to see if there is alignment, because that's how you get calls that don't have objections. That's how you get calls where people just roll over and purchase. That's how you get sales to get really, really, really easy for you. Where you take this extremely seriously, and you will not be able to use our program well if you don't find it fun. That's the truth. If it's only a means to make money and there's no passion behind, as I call it, like the game of how it works, the psychology, then our program wouldn't work for you because you would hate it and it wouldn't be great. So I was just bringing that up.
quick things on the future. So where are you taking all this? I know you mentioned the course you're building. What's the vision? Are you married, kids, and all that? You're doing this for the wife or whatever, or what's the future looking like for you?
Yeah.
So I'll give you guys something interesting here. The way that I ask my desire question, we call it in protocols, we call the future pace question, we call it desire. We use both words, but I like calling it desire because you're really tapping into what someone desires in their life, where they truly want to be. So instead of just calling it future pace, I like to label it as desire. When we're going into desire scripting, and the way I ask my desire question, I usually label it. Now, instead of me just saying, where do you want to be? Or like when we put you in a position where you have these kind of results, tell me about what that does for you just on a personal level. Instead of keeping it broad, I niche it down now. So what I do is, I don't do this every time, but often I'll find some kind of entry point. An entry point meaning I'll say, what's going on in your life? Do you have kids? Do you have like family? Or you a single guy? And I'll get context as to what they're doing, what they have going on life-wise. And that context enables me to then stack onto it and attach meaning to whatever they say. So let's pretend that let's say that I'm selling an AI biz op. I know a lot of you guys watching this who are selling or setting or on AI offers now, because it's popular, it's starting to pop. So let's say we go into AI biz op, helping people start AI brands or AI based businesses, or plug in AI tools and automations for companies. If I'm selling something like that, what I will do is the way I future pace is I'll ask them, let's say I'm talking to a woman who's 27 years old. She's in a career as a nurse. She doesn't love it. Let's pretend she's single. Okay. We'll make that we'll add some character to it. She's not classic married woman. She's single. What I'll ask her then, probably from a future pace, I'll say, tell me more about your life, Jenny. Like, what's the whole motivation for all this? You don't have family, I would assume you're taking care of right now. So what do you want out of life? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to take all this? Okay. So that's my entry point into future. And then she'll say, well, it's really about the freedom for me. Okay. When you have that freedom, what would that really do for you? Like on a personal level, beyond just money, what would it do for you having that freedom? What does that look like? How does it show up in your life? Talk to me, paint me a picture. All right. And I'll ask her this question now, and we create an open dialogue around the future, but I got into it without using the classic kind of ADPQ scripting that everyone knows nowadays, which is when you're in this position, tell me about what that does for you, which some prospects just hate that question and they just brush it aside, which I don't want that to happen. So instead I ask, what does life look like? Tell me about your life. And then I stack onto that. Learning how to do this is difficult, of course. I mean, it takes practice. You have to be very, very, very congruent with your sales process and be okay asking the tough questions. But this is helpful and important.
My kind of goal, I'm married, no kids.
Okay.
Wife is basically like she's in Portugal. So we have
Okay.
kids waiting for her to come here, and she'll probably be here in like maybe 3 to 4 months, something like that.
I was just in Portugal last week.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Yes. So anyway, but my goal is basically time freedom. So then it's not that I want to like stop working. I want to be able to like put my
So now we have a great answer. We have good context. And what you're going to see is these calls are going to get progressively difficult. So this is like, again, the easiest one because I wanted to set a baseline for how you're going to clean discovery. Simple. The next call is going to be a little more challenging, biz op, ecomm, and then the last call, just straight objections.
put my time into the best. Like I want to use like my time the best way possible and have that kind of like freedom to choose what I allocate my time to. So that's kind of like maybe it's a combination of things. So like time freedom, location freedom, money freedom.
Okay.
So
How old are you right now?
I'm sorry.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay, similar. I'm 30. We're similar ages. Okay. I'm trying to connect the pathway of you doing sales to the time freedom. Yeah, especially if you get to 10 to 20K a month and you start to build like a reputation. This is what I'm doing actually. What I do is I close and then I'll take like 6-8 months off, which I just finished my off time, and then I get back on an offer and I'm interviewing actually for a crazy offer today. It's like 25K OTE. And then I'll close and just go into that space for another like 18 months, stack a bunch of cash, and then go back to just some consulting or building like a team or managing a team and stuff. And then the coaching is my passion project. That's what I love to coach. But yeah, I pay our coaching, or the guys who are in the program coach with me. I pay them quite a lot, so I have the time freedom. I also coach a lot in the program too. But yeah, so it can be done. You just have to like find an offer actually and grind for like a solid 6 to 8 months. Just save some cash and then you can step away from it, and you probably would come back and close again. But that's what a lot of the guys who are like the top performers do. And then you would pivot after your first or second offer. You pivot into something like maybe consulting or maybe taking a reduced role where you take half the volume of calls, but you have to have that initial hump where the company respects you and they're like, okay, he's really good. That's where the training comes in. That's kind of what the path looks like. Okay.
Also like I view it like part of my motivation to do this is like get a vehicle where I can stack cash to invest basically in Bitcoin, but because it's basically like that would be like a really quick path to time freedom from the standpoint of basically like generating income.
Okay.
It's basically
Makes
like
sense.
I already did like a kind of like small allocation to like MSTY, which is like covered calls on MicroStrategy and so on. So
Okay. Okay. Interesting. It could be fun for you to get a trading offer. One of our coaches in the program, he coaches our discovery. I don't know if you've heard his name yet. You may have if you see my stuff. Charlie Matthias. He's a coach on one of the top trading offers in the sales space. They're not doing crypto trading. They have affiliates of people who are doing it. I think he's trading. Not he doesn't trade, but they teach futures trading. But I think just based on how your mind works, I don't know you well, but I suspect you're very technical. I think it could be fun for you to get onto a trading offer that could be interesting, or a crypto education offer. There's a lot of those in the space. What was the trigger behind you wanting to kind of make all these changes and say?
So what I did here, this is interesting, and I wouldn't actually recommend you all do this. I literally have not watched this call in a while, in a very long time. So I wanted to use it as a kind of a nice baseline for how to run discovery. This is one thing I did though that I don't like. I know that I could pull it off because I know how I'm going to pitch him. And also when you're running the program yourself, you can break some rules. So it's easier for the business owner sometimes to sell than it is for closers at times. Because my face is all on the YouTube channel. It's not as difficult. But I still run my calls pretty cleanly. But one thing that I'm doing here that I don't like, actually, is I didn't ask him what would it feel like being in that position. So I kind of moved away. We went future 100%, but we didn't stick on it and create really a vision about it. I don't know if I do it more. I think I don't. But I don't love that because if I, in retrospect, was to coach myself and say, Tim, do it perfectly, I would then ask him, I would say, tell me more about what it would feel like being able to create that kind of life for yourself, have that level of abundance and flexibility coming in from cash flow, being able to give back to your girl, as she relocates and just create something really great with her. What would the feeling be? I would go into it and lean more into a conversation, paint a real picture around benefit, around what it would look like, what it would be. Okay, but we haven't done that here, so don't be like me in this. You could learn what to not do also. That was not good.
Say 9-to-5 path isn't for me. I want to scale my life and freedom. What was the moment where that happened?
And what I'm doing now is I'm going for a why now trigger. A why now trigger, it was just kind of like an urgency, which is what was the exact reason or the moment where this became relevant to you that we can anchor to as to why it's better to do this now versus putting it off till later. That's the question I'm asking now.
I mean, I was always kind of interested in like basically running a company, like from like for a long time. I was always interested in entrepreneurship. And then I guess maybe over time, there's kind of maybe it's like seeing that from my perspective, the 9-to-5 just looked like a dead end as far as like ability to earn and get freedom. And then even just have kind of like an abundant, expansive life. So yeah, I mean, as far as like you were asking when that sort of realization happened.
Maybe not even, maybe there wasn't a when. I don't know if you can pinpoint a specific moment you were in your car and just I'm not saying that, but like what was the trigger where you're like, this is when, or around the time I was like, okay, now is the time to make change. Actually, hey, I want to do something different. If you had that moment or that time period.
Yeah. Oh, I always kind of wanted something more for my life.
Okay.
Kind of, then it's like at a certain point when that wasn't what that something more was not materializing, then it's like I started like kind of taking steps toward.
And when did you realize it wasn't materializing? Like, was it after COVID or something, or what was where you were like, yeah, this isn't going where I want it to go?
What I'm really trying to do here is I'm trying to assign a time value and a specific moment to when he committed to living a better life. That's what I'm trying to do. Another way that I could make this even better here would be saying, and when did you decide you wanted to have a call with us? Because if I wanted, by the way, to pre-frame this concern, one of the things that I could do here right now is I could say, I know you went to this other program that didn't work well for you. What caused you to come back and say, I'm going to look at more training and have a serious conversation? I don't think you would be here if you weren't serious. So have a serious conversation with guys like at Protocols to look at how they can help me actually make change and make up a bunch of money. What caused that to be the thing for you now, right? So I could ask that question as well, which would anchor into a why now. That's another one. And I would assign that to us here in the moment. I'm going more so into his commitment to change overall, into making money, living that kind of life he wants, which is a bit more broad. I don't love it. It's okay and it works, but this would be another version of that. Maybe a more niche down, more tailored version.
I mean, I don't know. Like I would probably be, maybe after COVID sometime around then.
Okay.
But they started going down a path as far as like, so I started like, I paid like $3 for like some course or whatever.
Okay.
I was like,
very low ticket.
This is crap. And then, I like paid $50 and I was like, oh, this is crap. And then I was like, okay, I'll invest more.
Okay. Have you had any good courses? It seems like there's a lot of crappy courses. Have you had any great ones?
So, I mean, I invested like in a kind of like a coaching program that was about like getting clarity and that was valuable. So,
okay. Amazing. Good. So you've had positive experiences too. If you've only been burned, then I'd be like, damn. Okay, John. We need to start picking better courses, but okay. If you've got to see both sides, I'm the same. I've invested like a lot. Yeah, in coaching, I think it's close to 6 figures now. I don't think I've crossed 100K in coaching mentors, but I've experienced all spectrum stuff that I've loved, stuff that hasn't been so helpful, but it's part of the game of investing in oneself. Last thing I'll ask you, just go a little negative and get a bit of a contrast here. What's the other side? Let's say sales doesn't work, and not just sales, but just this path of online income freedom, which many of us want nowadays, and we're all moving towards that, and many people are. Let's say it didn't work for you, and you just keep hitting blocks and walls and stuff. What's the downside to that? I'm not saying you'll give up ever. I don't know if you will or won't, but I'm asking more so, what's the downside to not solving all this and figuring it out?
So I know a lot of you here struggle to ask consequence questions. I know it's a common thing, and I see it in protocols when we have reps and we have to train them on how to ask consequence properly. We do a lot of drills and training on this. Consequence questions are really, really important to ask because you're basically establishing with a prospect downside. You're establishing in their mind, like, if failure happens, and if you do not succeed, what is the cost of that? And the reason we need to ask it is because we are anchoring it onto the buying decision that they're about to make. So we want it, the reason we go desire, the reason we go fear, aka future pace consequence, is because we want to establish live on the call grounds for why they should make a buying decision and why it's in their best interest to part with their resources and purchase now, right? So what I'm asking him here, which is consequence, about what does it look like if you don't succeed, I have to ask this, and I don't ask this to every single person on every call. I ask it probably 90% of my calls, but there are occasional times where I will not ask this. That's for sure. But the reason I'm asking him this consequence question is because I need to establish in his own mind, before we go into a buying conversation after I pitch, what does it look like if you do not consistently, aggressively, and willingly commit to this future and making this future happen? Because it's more than just spending your money on a coaching program. You're actually spending your money to avoid a negative future. Remember this. You're spending your money to avoid a negative future that you don't want to settle for, that you don't want to happen. Okay, that's what I'm asking him. Bring it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of
You can hear in his tone he doesn't want to answer it. He starts with, yeah, I mean, and I challenge him on it. You'll see in a second, and I get an answer. But you can hear the tone. More so, what's the downside to not solving all this and figuring it out?
yeah, I mean, it's just sort of ends up in like, I'm not going to settle for that.
So he starts answering it, and then he skips to the end of our scripting, which is, are you willing to settle for that, right? And I don't let him off the hook. He starts off with a negative, with admitting kind of somewhat, and then he cancels it out, and he's like, let's just go to the end and get this over with, right? So I don't want to allow that to happen because I want to stick to my process. And also, we review this call in protocols. I regularly show in protocols my own calls, and this is one of those examples where I wanted to do this call cleanly for the guys we train in protocol so they could see exactly what I'm doing, see my process. This is an example of that.
Ends up in I'm not going to settle for that. But it's, yeah.
You can't skip to that question that's later in the scripting, John. I wasn't going to ask you that. I know that's if you've memorized our scripting already, that's the later question, but I don't use our scripting on these calls.
Yeah, well,
I'm not asking that.
So I lightly challenge him on it. I turn it into a joke, use humor, and then we continue, and I actually fully rinse the challenge.
If you've memorized our scripting already, that's the later question, but I don't use our scripting on these calls.
Yeah, well,
but I'm not asking that. I'm actually asking, what's the consequence? Like, what's the downside? What does it look like if it doesn't work out, and if you kind of had to settle for something, which I know you don't want to.
So you see how I let some tension out. I didn't make it awkward. I let some tension out, used a bit of humor, but then I grounded it again and became serious again.
But what is the consequence?
I'm not going to, I'm committed to doing what I need to do to move forward, to work to take the next best step.
But I still want to look at the other side, though. What is it? Like, what does the side of not figuring it out look like? What is that? How does that play out in your life? What does that look like?
I was gonna say, homeless on the street, under a bridge.
I don't think that
he still tries to avoid it. And look at my response. I don't comply on it. I don't let him go with it.
What does that look like?
I was gonna say, homeless on the street, under a bridge.
I don't think that would happen either. I think I know what the consequence would be, by the way, but I don't want to tell it to you because you need to explain it yourself. So I think I know what it would be.
Like, sure. So it's just I don't know, perpetually worrying about bills and being financially constrained and not having freedom and just getting in a more and more limited life position. Just as an example for I was gonna say this is a good exercise.
It is.
It's like it's like as you have, let's say,
see, and now I've won it. He said this is a good exercise because that was the moment he fully surrendered to the process of the scripting, which it was amazing, and we were going to end up helping him.
Like more kids. It's just like I view that like the further you go in life, the more resistance you naturally acquire. As far as like just you kind of inertia overtake. It's not it's just like as you go further in life, you get more bills and more resistance and all of that. So it's like
responsibility as well.
Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Your wife will be coming to the US and you guys will be starting to really get closer and build a life together, I would assume. That's the thing that's going to happen. Yeah. And is kids something you want on the horizon, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah, so I mean that would be kind of along those lines of like
Yeah.
responsibility as far as
Right.
much greater responsibility, even stuff with health. So for example, like I don't know, I needed to get like gum grafts, like in the bottom of the gums. I need to get them on the top. Or they mentioned that being kind of something to look at. So it's just like all that stuff is basically on the horizon, along the lines of almost kind of like simple stuff like okay, replace the car, like that's going to be a need in the future. And so it's like it's um like if I don't solve the income problem, then
Yeah.
like all of that happens.
Yeah.
Meaning,
Yeah.
like, oh, now the car doesn't work and now I'm homeless on the street. So
Correct. Again, I don't think any homelessness is in the cards. What I was going to say and bring up to me, and you didn't bring this up, you actually give a much better version of what I thought, what's in my head. But I was thinking you just kind of go back to a 9 to 5, like worst case. I'm not saying you want to, but I know people who have done that. Like you go back to a 9 to 5 and kind of that whatever 4% raise every 3 years, that cycle and being trapped in that, which also takes away freedom too, just exchanging 1 hour for, however the hourly, I don't know how hourlies work, but whatever that would be. That was what was in my head. What were you saying? I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
I said soul suicide.
You're John, you're going way deeper into the negative than I am. I didn't do all that. if you get onto a good offer, make sure you do that. If we review any of your calls in the future, I want to hear you say that to a prospect. Good luck pulling that one off. That's not something I say. Cool. Anything else I need to ask you? No, I think that's it. I think we can help.
So because I had expended a lot of energy getting him to actually have a real dialogue with me around responsibility and around like what consequence looks like if he doesn't achieve these results and if he doesn't make this change in his life, etc., to be at this position he wants to be, I didn't feel the need to like sink more and more. It would be flashy and it would be good, but I felt like I had done enough due diligence and he was enough of a buyer, enough aware enough about like his own buying decision that I didn't need to continue driving it in here. I just felt like it wouldn't be positive or beneficial to the call. So I got what I needed. We moved on. And then I absolutely murdered the entire pitch and just went hard into the pitch.
We can help. If you're open to it, I'll pitch you. I'll share my screen and share it. It's going to be the same stuff you've seen before in that video, but I'll just break down in detail how everything works. If you're open to it, but I think we can help. Give me just 1 second. I need to find.
So there we go. I pitch him, break it down, and he pays in full. And we were able to help him, and he came, joined protocols, and dove into the coaching. So I think the big lesson here is challenging prospects. The big one is like challenge, but you have to learn how to do it right. You guys notice there's a bunch of tools I use. I use humor. I use painting pictures, framing, a lot of little things that I use. And we have these things throughout the YouTube channel. You can look at, if you search like Tim Ray leadership or Tim Ray framing, you'll see a lot of these trainings I have on frames and things like that. But this is a very clean discovery. The next one that we're going to look at is me selling a biz op to a guy who has actually been burned in the past. And we go through a pretty intense process where I have to go through, or excuse me, he hasn't been burned in the past. I'm incorrect in saying that. He wasn't burned, but he has not achieved results in the past. So there was a lot of fear of like he was nervous about himself and can he do this, but it was attached to the past. So we're going to look at this one. This is a really, really valuable breakdown that we have here, and the kind of, it's more difficult. This time I'm not the business owner. I'm working for someone else selling their offer, cold traffic, mostly, actually all cold traffic. I think it's 90% cold traffic. So I had a lot of work to do here. Again, this is also objectionless. So we'll look at a lot of what I do on this call to kind of help him overcome some of those hesitations in discovery. Let's go ahead and dive into that one next. All right, call number 2. Let's get into it. BizOp, fear of the past. He's been around things like this, been around ecomm, been around stuff like this that hasn't really worked out for him. There was a lot of uncertainty coming in, a lot of things that I needed to handle, needed to pre-frame. Now, I'll give us some context. The way I'm selling this is not the way that I normally sell. This is a new offer that I had gotten onboarded to. This was the beginning of my second week on the offer, and I was still kind of wrapping my head around exactly how I needed to pitch, how I needed to present everything. I ended up doing quite well on my next couple of calls. It took me some time to figure out exactly how I'm going to sell this. But once I figured out how to sell it, and I was able to use a lot of what I know in discovery in terms of creating strong frames, in terms of creating buy-in to do quite well, I ended up leaving the offer for outside reasons that just was not for me. But it was really, really big offer, one of the biggest offers in the e-com space, actually, that I was closing for, that I landed. So I thought this was a good call to break down and to review. Let's go and dive into it. Let's look at what we got going on here.
So my name is Tim, and I'm one of the advisors with Brooke that will dive deep And then two, I want to break down what we do in terms of our process, in terms of what our coaching.
The connection isn't that stable at different times. So yeah, it's going to be annoying watching this, but what matters is the training. What matters is the value.
Strategies and our business model looks like. And then we'll look at next steps going forward, whether you want to work with us and get started and come and partner with us in our program or not. Either is fine. I just want you to have clarity, have all the information at here so you can make a decision whether it's a yes or it's a no. Sounds good?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds perfect. I was kind of scared, honestly nervous, because I thought this was going to be like oh yeah, thank you for applying. Thank you for, and I'm like, oh no, like I hope I don't have to drop, bans on this.
You don't have.
So you see how he starts off already immediately, boom, fear anchoring. He starts off with a high degree of fear. I was scared. I was nervous because I didn't want to have to drop money on this. I didn't want to have to drop bans on this. So immediately I know what I'm going to have to do is challenge it, confront it, and then give him an ultimatum whether he wants to proceed kind of with willingness or if he's going to let the fear control him. I don't necessarily need to go to an extreme level with that, but I do need to challenge it. I absolutely have to. Let's look at how that happens.
You don't have to do anything at all. Our program is not.
I hope I don't have to drop, bans on this.
You don't have to do anything at all. Our program is not free, that's for sure. And for us to work with you and to help you build your business and to coach you, it's an investment. Just being straight up transparent with you.
Yeah.
But we only get there at the end if you feel all of it makes sense logically and if you like what you hear and if it's a fit. And if not, that's also okay.
Nah, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, let's start.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, because
So the big lesson here is like the ownership. Do you see how I didn't bounce away from it? I didn't shy under that, crack under that pressure whatsoever. Instead, it was like, yeah, dude, program isn't free, simple. You're going to have to invest in it. However, only under terms that make sense to you if you feel like it would be a good fit. So are those terms that you can live with or not? He can live with the terms, obviously, because he's on the call to make a change. And he understands, of course, that nothing in life necessarily is free. And then we move forward.
I got some questions. It could hold.
And I'm here to answer all of them. Yeah, let me start with you because I got questions for you. So what are you looking for from high ticket e-commerce and online business overall? Like what brought you here?
So I am looking for like financial freedom. That's the first thing. I'm getting out of the military.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. So like I'm getting out of the military and then I just want financial freedom and like an online job because my wife is in the military as well. Okay. And if she wants to go PCS to
So what I want you to do is you watch this video, instead of treating it like other call reviews that you may see on YouTube where you go through the motions and get entertained by the person who's doing the call review. I don't want you to do that here. I want you to be present and try to catch things and put yourself in my shoes. So do you hear the language that he uses here? What does he say?
I just want financial freedom and like an online job because my wife is in the military as well.
An online job. That is a problem. He wants an online job. I'm selling an ecomm program. We're teaching you ecomm. You're not going to have a job. You're going to have to think way differently. You can't be an employee. So if he's coming into this with the intention of, I would like to have an online job, this is literally not going to help him. And there's going to be misalignment. I won't be able to close him because he's going to be misaligned with what we provide. So I need to frame that properly where, again, what you're getting here is not an online job. You're not coming in to work for us or to be hired or to be an employee. That's not what we're here for. You're giving you training for you to learn a skill set, for you to learn a business model that you can apply and scale and add to your life. It's very, very important that I establish that with him here.
Well, and if she wants to go PCS to like somewhere else,
yeah,
like move duty stations to somewhere else, I can like go with her and not worry about any jobs moving or like gotta get canceled, quit my job now and then go to another job in a way.
Yeah, you're in a period where there might be a bit of a lack of stability just with the logistics of moving locations, all that, that might come up. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And when you say financial freedom and stability, what does that look like to you?
So I have the job thing in my mind, by the way. It's parked. I'm not immediately hopping on it because what I first want to get is establish holy grail, which is where do you want to be? What's the number, the income number that's going to make you happy, where you're going to feel really, really good, where you're like, this is where I want to be. That's what we're trying to get to first. So I have that established. That's the context. Right. And then the next thing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to have to reframe that whole job thing and have a dialogue around that too.
Give me some numbers. Like, what do you want in an ideal world?
Well, ideal world would like be best would be like replace my income right now because I get out next month, ending of next month. So I'm trying to like replace my income now, so I can like continue with bills, continue with like and like be able to grow into a company. And I know how it is. Like
second time, grow into a company. Something's off there in terms of the language, and I'm picking up on it. I'm hearing it, and my mind's like, I need to park this. This doesn't make sense.
Start from the bottom up. So,
what's your month over month right now? What do you make currently?
So right now I am making 2,300 every 2 weeks.
You said 2,300, or okay, gotcha. So in a month you're doing around 4,000. Okay. One thing I want to make clear you're not working for a company in this. You're building an online business because you mentioned.
So here comes the framing now. I need to explain to him, and hear me out, guys. When you are creating a frame with someone, or when you're establishing a principle, an idea, a belief with someone and trying to correct them and set them right, it's very important that they concede it. You don't just say it and move on. You deliver it, they concede it, they respond to you, and they invest in it. So if I say to them, do you like green or red? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Hey, I asked you, do you like green or red? They need to establish, do they want green or do they want red, and give you context and answers as to why they want it. So that's very important. That needs to happen here.
You mentioned start from the bottom with a company and grow with them or something like that. We don't teach you how to get a job. We teach you and give you education and tools to start an online e-commerce business that you can grow. Generally, what we see, we did a survey from the people in the program that had used it correctly. Not everyone, by the way, because not everyone has success. That's the truth. But from the people we surveyed who had gone through and used the coaching, $48,000 a month in revenue was what they achieved within 6 months. That's around the monthly averages. Okay. Profit margins are going to be around 20 to 30%. So people are doing like 8 to 10K per month when they follow our coaching process and follow our steps.
I'm gonna be writing this down as you go because that's part of my questions coming up. Yep. So thank God you're. So
we're gonna go into a lot of info. Have you watched the videos, any of the content coming into the call to prepare for it?
Yeah, I watched all the videos and everything. Okay. And there's like a few things I like went through like unsaid, but like the videos was going too fast, low key, and there's no pause. I mean, you can pause it, but you can't rewind through.
Yeah.
So you were saying
when you make a lot.
One of my questions was part of the money scheme, and it was what is the commission base? Because
there's so many little things here that are happening that I don't like. He's saying the money scheme as well. Don't like that. Right. So again, there's this job thing that's still lingering that I haven't fully 110% shut the door on. I need to make sure that he understands it's not a job.
Sounds like 20 to 30% margins on the products that you sell is going to be 20 to 30% generally. That's industry standard ranges for the sales that you make in your store.
30%. Yeah, inside my store, as in my website. That's
the website and the platform you have.
Yeah, and it says like it's following up on that. What do I like? How do I get paid? As in, clients makes a sale on my website. Is that what's going on?
I'm gonna break it all down because but no, you're good. You're fine. I'm gonna spend like 15 minutes breaking down the whole model. By the way, so that's a big piece of this call. Yeah, I'm gonna answer all this. I'm gonna show you, like, share my screen, go through all the details and all that stuff with you. Going back to you. So you're leaving the military in a month. What was the reason why you're looking at, I guess, this business model exactly? Because I'm sure you see ads and stuff, a bunch of models and a bunch of things you can do online. So what was the driver behind, hey, this looks interesting, let me seriously consider this?
So now what I'm going into is why now scripting. Like, what was the trigger to make this relevant to you? I'm trying to create a base and establish a solid base and context for why he would like to do this and move forward to this, because baselines are very, very important in sales. Establishing common ground as to why we're doing this, why we're moving forward to this.
I was serious about it because I was like, okay, like, if a lot of people can make money online, right? Like I said before, like I'd rather work online and be flexible for my wife when she's still in the military.
Yep.
And she's pursuing her dream. She's a cop and all that, so I'm happy for that. So like I can go support her and be there for my kid and all that. Like I have a 7-month-old.
Welcome to fatherhood.
Thank you. And I love it. And I was just saying like watching Brooks, and he explained a lot. It was a good one and all that. So like he really like kind of touched me in a way. So like I was like, okay, of
course.
Yeah. So that's how I got hooked into high ticket ecomm.
I gotcha. And did you see anything with the business model itself that made sense to you, where you were kind of like, this seems like something that I can do, that landed? So
when you're selling on a biz op, where the business model is unique, and for a lot of you who are selling in AI, and which I know some of you are doing, or just in different business opportunities, it's very important that the person sells themselves on why the business model works for them. That's what I'm doing here. So on this offer, one thing that challenged me, because I had been selling dating before, and then I've been selling AI product development, helping people build AI applications and integrate AI into their products. So I've been selling that for a friend's offer, and then like I said, dating, and then selling sales training. So one of the things that would always challenge me that I wasn't necessarily aware of is selling people on the model itself and making sure that they believe the model works. And I realized here in selling this offer, one of the trainings we have in protocols, our sales training program, is called Be Like Water, which is where we're always saying you need to be able to adjust to the offer that you're selling and be able to modify your scripting and adjust it to be able to, accurately sell to what the person needs to hear, what the person needs to feel. So in this situation, I know that because I'm selling a biz op and we're doing something pretty unique in the market, which is e-commerce, but a different type of e-commerce, I need to make sure that he resonates with our unique mechanism. It's very, very important, because if he doesn't resonate with that unique mechanism, I don't have a lot of leverage to sell him, a lot of leverage to close him, right? I need to make sure that he completely resonates with that. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm anchoring to that. I'm making sure that he resonates with it and it lands for him.
Oh yeah, like the showcasing
Mm-hmm.
for AI, because I know AI is big right now,
Yep.
and like AI is like running the world almost. So like I'm like freaking like might as well like take a chance, you know? Like I just want to take a leap and hopefully I can like get into hopefully I can get into this and make it long term. I know I said from the bottom up, I thought it was like for you guys, like you know, like you guys calling and you guys are like recruiting and all that. I thought like that's what part of the process or anything.
There's no recruiting whatsoever. And so you know what we are. We're an education company, and we educate and coach people. And
so this is the second time again now where I have to go into job scripting. So the first time I left it open-ended. I said, hey, this is not a job. He kind of said yes, but then went into a bunch of questions. And I have to be very careful, by the way, how I handle this prospect because he has a lot of fear. He came in saying I was very nervous to take this call. In fact, he had been on our calendar before in the CRM and he had canceled his call. So I knew there was a great degree of fear coming in and I had to watch that and be aware of it. But right now with this guy, because there was so much fear at the top, I have to be very careful with how I push, how I challenge, how I set boundaries, how I set frames. Really careful.
With them in building an online e-commerce business. And I'll explain to you kind of our incentive behind it because we're playing a different game here that a lot of people aren't aware of. I'll share that with you. But that's what we are. So you're not paying us to like work for us or anything. We'll work your way up to recruit anyone. There's none of that at all. You're literally going to have a coach who's going to work with you for 6 months and teach you how to build an online business. And then from that, you scale it, you grow it to however far you want to take it.
Yep.
And then we'll also have a piece of that business. So we have a share in it. That's what our game is. And then we have software and a lot of education around AI. So that business owners who are doing 6 and 7 figures, because we've had a lot of results with this model, they oftentimes come back to actually partner with us and invest more in our services like our software. So the coaching is just to get you up and making money. And then once you make a bunch of money, you're like, hey, Brookstein is the one who made me money. So let me invest back in the software that they have so we can continue building with you. That's
that's so perfect. That's good on you.
Yeah. Well, we're not doing that out of the goodness of our hearts because Brooke wants to make a lot of money. So if we make you money, you're gonna help us make money. That's
for sure.
So I want to go back to this.
So what I'm doing is I'm basically giving him a very, very valid, extraordinarily valid reason to trust us. It seems like it's all good fun and light and good energy. And again, it is. I'm doing this in good faith. There's no bad motive behind this. But my intention here is to close him. Right, so I'm doing this because he's lacking trust. He's confused. There's a lot of doubt he has. I'm sure he thinks that there's scams out there, etc. We didn't go into that because I didn't need to go down that pathway with him necessarily. But because I'm aware of that, what I'm doing is I'm trying to do everything in my power to create a high degree of trust with him, which I do by explaining our secret reason for actually doing this in the first place.
What was the kind of the trigger behind doing this now? Because I know you probably knew you were going to be leaving the military. I would assume before this month you knew that. So why is it that now you kind of pull the trigger versus earlier in looking at doing this?
So now I'm leaning even more into the why now. What is the reason behind doing this now versus later? What's the urgency? I'm trying to trigger urgency.
So I didn't even see the ad at all or anything. Like, my goal was to build a family compound, obviously in Hawaii. That's going to take money. Yeah. So like I'm like
around how much would that take in capital?
That would take like.
One other thing, guys, like go more specific with your prospects on your scripting. Do you hear how he said, I'm going to build a family compound in Hawaii. That's going to take money. Instead of me just saying, yeah, you're going to need money for that, I said, how much money? Because I want to label everything. If someone says life is expensive, how expensive is your life? Right? I want everything to be labeled. It doesn't mean, again, every single sentence I always do this with, but be aware of language. A lot of sales reps that I've seen are just so unaware of the language they're using, where you're just kind of going through the flow with the prospect, and they're saying things you're not prying deeper and assigning a value, assigning a meaning, assigning a temperature, assigning a value to it. I want to assign values to what he's saying. So he said, this is going to take money. Okay, what kind of money is it going to take actually?
Honestly, for land, it's 3 mil.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's
for 35 acre, or there's this one for like 1.9 mil, and it's like I think it's 15 acres.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I was just gonna have a family compound and like give like section off everything for my family and all that.
That makes sense. The thought then about going online, how long has that been in your mind where you wanted to set up a plan in place to get online once you're out the military and have that?
So now we have a little bit of an urgency. I don't think it's perfect, but we have an urgency, which is there are things that I want to create in my life that are going to be very expensive. I'm realizing I'm going to need to have more options, more cash flow, more flexibility. Got that. But then I want to assign a time value to it also, which is how long has this been a thought for you? Because if we can say, I've been thinking of this for a while, we can add more urgency because this has not been a problem since yesterday. It's been a problem for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years.
I have that as a fallback, or not even a fallback, as a main option.
Well, I always wanted to do e-commerce because back in 2018, and I like started, but like I put $3,000 down and I started it, the modules and everything.
Yep.
And there was nobody helping me out at all.
Really?
Like, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have.
So now we have a fear of the past. The first actual first was fear of just being on the call. We get that, but now we have actual fear of the past. Maybe I wasn't clear then, because I know I said before that it wasn't fear of the past. I thought that he didn't have fear of the past, but he actually does. There is fear of the past coming up. There's a whole bunch of fear coming up here.
Nobody called. Like, it was like I tried calling, and then like it always went to voicemail or anything like that. So I was like,
Did they promise you that you would have a coach?
they promised me that I would make money.
Okay, yeah, that's not great. No one should be really promising that. But
Oh, yeah.
but did they promise a level of support that wasn't given to you as well?
So the reason this is important to me is because if they promised him you have a coach and he didn't get a coach, that's a huge thing that I need to, again, pitch against. If you watched the last call we just reviewed here on this video and you were locked in, you would know that we went through a similar thing. I want to dig into what went wrong. You see how the same framework comes up. I want to dig into what went wrong so that I can see what I'm going to pitch against. And I'm going to say, I'm going to do a better job of what we do. We're going to do a better job than what they did in this specific area. But he's saying they didn't provide coaching and support. I need to figure out, did they promise it or was it just not there? Because if it wasn't there, it sounds like a shitty program. If they promised it and they didn't give it to you, shitty program, but also sounds like you were scammed, and I'm sorry that happened to you. You see where I'm going? And I'm prepared for both paths. This is why training comes in. This is why the protocols, I switched my hat before shooting this one, the next piece of the training of the call reviews. That's why the protocols are so important, because they let you know where you're going to go. So I always know where I'm going to go at each stage. I'm never going anywhere randomly, ever.
Yes and no, in a way. Like they said, just go through the modules.
Yeah.
And like there should be a learning coach or something that will call you in a way.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they're like calling me until I paid. And then right after like I paid, it was like
It just dropped. Silence. Yeah. That's bad.
So that was back in 2018, but I always wanted.
So it sounds like it was just a shitty program that he went through. Sounds like it's a shitty program, poor delivery, probably ran by some 19-year-old growth operators. I'm kidding, because back in 2018, no, they weren't doing that. Now they're doing that. But yeah, sounds like it was probably a crappy program that he was in. So now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to counter that, build a lot of trust with him, and explain or validate in some way how we're not like that, and that I'm sorry you went through that, and that we're going to do better and do right by him.
Paid. It was like
it just dropped. Silence. Yeah, that's bad.
So that was back in 2018, but I always wanted to, because I knew the internet was gonna, the internet is gonna make you money, like everybody and all that. So
yeah, 100%.
That's why I was like, I'm like all for it. And
then after that experience, this is interesting, the timeline. So after that experience, I guess you tried some things. It didn't work much because you didn't have the support needed, and then you kind of just fell off of it, I guess, after that.
Yeah, and then like that was in 2018, and then 2019, or like while I was doing that, I was working in a restaurant as a fusser.
Okay.
And then I joined the military, and then I'm over here, and I'm like, might as well try it again. Hopefully it works, because like I work stay-at-home job kind of in a way would be like perfect for me right now.
Yeah.
Fourth time he says job again. A stay-at-home job would be perfect for me. Again. I can't let this go.
Things here, and I appreciate you sharing me the context and the background. It makes sense. Two things that are interesting. One is a lot of people, I think, wouldn't kind of get back up and say, I'm going to give it a shot again and really like have a conversation here and then look at moving forward. But you're actively choosing to, even though I know that there's hesitation, you were a little nervous coming in, which makes complete sense. Why did you decide to tap into that side of, I'm going to give it a stab again and I'm going to give myself a chance to build this? Like, what drove you to that?
So what I'm doing is I'm creating an open dialogue around why he's the kind of person who is going to go again despite what happened in the past. So this is me pre-framing a concern about the past. Well, instead of me ignoring it, or instead of me going through this long analogy and going all over the place to try to create an Instagram highlight, I'm going the most efficient route, which is just saying, why are you the kind of person who's going to try again? Just explain to me why and have a dialogue around it. I don't need to give him an analogy. I don't need to give him a perspective. Like, can I share a perspective with you? The way you like all that stuff. I just straight up am going to ask him directly, man to man, why it is that he is the kind of person who's willing to do X, which in this case, the X would be get back on the horse and try again. It's very important, because if he invests in it, that means he's verbalizing that he is this kind of person. So it's something called commitment and consistency bias.
So the droving was my wife and I, like my kid, and like I thought to do it again while because I took a class on 1010. I don't know if you heard of that.
Do not know.
It's an online course where it's like online courses for like business intelligence analysts and all that. And like I'm taking classes right now. I'm like almost finishing up just to work online and all that. And then I was like, you know what? Like I need to start a business also. Like I'm like, I would say I'm young. I would be like 28 right now. And then,
you're younger than me. I'm 30.
Really?
I'm the big 3-0.
Oh.
I'm black, man. Black doesn't crack. You know that.
Yeah. I was like, damn. But
people think my dad is my older brother. He's 55 and they think he's my older brother. I'm 30.
No, yeah. I mean, it's the Hawaiian in me too. I don't know if you noticed, but everybody thought I was 24 or something like that.
Sure. No, you're looking, yeah. Then the question, because you're doing this online certification right now, why not just go all in on that and kind of focus your attention only?
So do you see how now I have to challenge again, similar to the last call, because now we're just going all over in this call, but every time I have to keep him on track. So now he's saying he's doing an online certification where you could get some job. So I'm going to challenge him. Why not keep doing that? Because it seems like you have a path. It seems like you have something that you're actively doing. Why not just continue to do that? Why are you looking at doing this at all?
Only there versus still looking at online business as well.
My time in the military is coming up, and,
right?
And then I'm like, oh shit, I need to make money.
Okay, so with this online certification, it's not going to set you up to make let's say 5 to 10K per month relative, within the next year, or
it's just a program, and then they have career coaches that helps me, kind of help me in a way, and then they have a learning coach, which will keep me on track. Hey, I noticed that you haven't been doing stuff or anything like that. Like you haven't moved forward in the past week or two and all that. And I'm like, okay, this is good. So I'll just work on it. But they're not going to make me money right now. Or I want to start a job now or a business now.
Yeah.
So by the time I actually do get out, I can understand everything. And then I can keep this ball rolling.
Got it. So it seems then, just so I'm clear, this certification you're doing is more of like a mini degree, we call it. And then you can use that to try to find work, just like having a job, but it's not necessarily a sustainable business that you're building and growing that's going to provide for you and the family necessarily. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it could be, but I've been applying to other jobs and stuff like that, and then I saw Brooks. I think it was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday night.
Yeah. How aligned are you with, I guess, the idea, or even I call it the identity of becoming a business owner?
So now I'm going to challenge this. Here we go. Identity challenging. Because he still has been anchoring to this job thing. He keeps saying job so much, and it's irking me during the call. And I know that if I'm going to pitch him, I'm going to need him to be completely aligned energetically, emotionally with what we do. Just even logically. Forget the emotional state, because a lot of it's just logic, how we sell. Just does the logic make sense? So I know that I'm going to have to get him to be aligned with it logically in terms of what we do. So that logical alignment that I'm trying to create with him is going to start from this. Are you aligned with the identity of being a business owner versus the job thing? And this is a really good lesson, guys, in understanding how to sell to someone's identity, how to sell to their belief systems, which is a huge thing that we teach in protocols. And I run over with all my people is identity, but not identity kind of corny identity scripting, but it's understanding what drives a human being, understanding what drives them and the beliefs they have about the world and how to challenge those beliefs or how to further those beliefs. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to challenge him and get him to pick a path and have him dialogue on that path.
Are you with, I guess, the idea, or even I call it the identity of becoming a business owner, not a large business owner, but a small business owner? Because to be clear, this is not it's not a job. There is a lot of instruction. There's a lot of handholding, a lot of support and accountability that we have. I'm going to show you how all it works in detail, so you just know what you're getting into. But I think it's also important, and I kind of want to just challenge you on this, that the place you're coming from is where you're willing to take on a bit more responsibility as a business owner and think like a business owner. With time, you have to learn it, not just as someone who's working a job. So how do you feel about those two paths, or that path?
So I feel like I can take as much challenges as you guys can. Let me see if I can I'm a challenging kind of guy. I'll challenge everybody, but I will honestly.
So do you see what's happening? We're going to hear the rest of the answer, but now what he's doing is he's investing in a path. He's investing in a path that's going to that's directly lined up with what we're going to need him to do and how we're going to need him to think in order to buy. Right? He's saying, I'm the kind of person who wants to take on challenges. I'm the kind of person who can push himself to blah, 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 right? And because he's investing in this path now, it's going to be a lot easier to sell him with no objections.
If I can, I'm a challenging kind of guy. I'll challenge everybody, but I will honestly try and push forward and give you guys 100%. If not, then I'm probably this or something,
We don't need your 100%. We need you to do 60 to 70% because 100 is crazy. That's good. Tell me about the future as well. So you mentioned, you have
So now I believe that I've won that, where he understands that this is not a job, it's a business. He gets that loop should be closed now, or that door should be closed, I should say. I don't think we need to go back to it anymore. I'm happy with that now.
A child, son or daughter?
A daughter.
You have a daughter? Okay. You have the wife. I guess when all this gets up and running and you're in a position where we help you make proper income online and you have that freedom, what do you actually do with that, personally? What does that look like in your life?
So personally making the money?
So I went back to my default scripting. Normally what I would do if I felt more comfortable on this offer and I wanted to just push things a little bit. The thing is, when I'm pitching on this offer, I had to pitch for a long time. It was about a 20-minute pitch that I was running here, which is very, very long for me, right? So because I wasn't, this is my second week, I was like, let me go back to my default protocols, baseline scripting, that I teach all of our people. Let me go back to that base and just create something from there instead of me going farther out and being fancy with it, if that makes sense. So that's what I was doing here for context. So go back to when we put you in a position where you have that success, what does it do for you personally being there? That's why I went back to default scripting.
Yeah. Making the money and having the freedom online. Like, what is that? How does that fit into your life? What do you do with all that?
That would be.
And you see, I still use what I want. I still say, what do you do with all of that? I don't just say, what does it do for you outside of the money? I say, what do you actually do with it, like tangibly?
Perfect, because now I can attend to my daughter. I can like keep up with the bills, or like I have 2 car payments right now, and I have a mortgage, and I got to attend to my daughter. My daughter's 3 months right now, and she still wants everything in the world. So
he said earlier in the call she was 7 months. I'm kind of confused, but
that will look like, honestly, my like that would be my vision going towards the family compound, or like like, because I got plans in the future that I want to do and all that. And of course, I'm a giving person, so like I'll probably do come back if, like, you know.
What was the you kind of trailed off at the end? You said something interesting. A giving person. So what does that mean?
No, I'm a giving person. So like honestly, like I'll give like I'm really like giving person. So like I like you said that there was people that come back to you guys and then like put more money in and all that.
Well, when I say put money in, they're not putting money in like a community pot. What I mean is we have software that helps you run this business, actually. So a lot of our people, the ones that are successful, those like who did the work actually and use the program, they tend to use our software, and they become a very integrated part of our community, because we have a huge community of business owners, which that's one thing you'd also be coming into here. So a lot of times when they have success, they come back, and they're not just like giving money for no reason, but to run a business, you have to invest in the business. You know that. So we have a lot of systems and steps in place that are supporting business owners that are already successful. So you can reinvest back into those and use them to continue to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
It's like watering a plant right now and you let it grow. You know?
Correct. 100%. Amazing, man. We can help, I think. And our goal is educate as many people as possible to get them to 6 and 7 figures as business owners. Not everyone's going to do 7 figures. 6 figures is absolutely possible. So that we can, again, build an ecosystem in the e-commerce space where we have as many people as possible using our tools and using our resources. That's what Brooke's vision is, and that's what we want. I'm going to explain to you how the business model works in detail and what our process looks like. And then I'll take I know you have questions, so if there's any that are unanswered, I'll take all those, and then we'll talk details and what next steps will look like after that. So are you familiar with Best Buy?
So then I go into my pitch, 20 minutes of discovery. And what happens is no objections. I go a lot in the pitch. He has a lot of questions about it, which totally makes sense. And then because his payment, he had some issues with payment and got declined, I ended up having him get a credit card. And he got a credit card over the weekend. He ended up paying in full on, was it Monday or whatever the day after the weekend was, Tuesday. His card came. So that was that. Good sale, good close. It was kind of a fun one, a little bit different than my normal process. And this is an example I wanted to show you guys. I don't like just showing all the flashy clean calls that are just very, very simple and standard. This, I had to go off of my process because I was very, very uncomfortable selling this. It was my second week selling it. So I was like, and there was a lot of challenging stuff in this offer for me to actually understand and wrap my head around. But I thought it was good to see the principles still come together live, even though I had to do a pitch that was way longer. Even though the offer is something I hadn't, sold before, I think it was still a lot of good foundations and good principles. We'll go into a fun call next where you're going to look at me handling objections. I'm going to handle objections. I think we do, I guess, however long it is. This is right here. He walks away and gets his card. So this is 20 minutes. He buys around 21 minutes. So 20 minutes of straight objection handling. This is going to be a fun one. We'll break it down. We'll dive deep. Let's get ready to go into that one next. All right, so let's kick into our third and final call to review. This is actually one of my favorite sales calls ever, and I'll explain why. Because this is a call I took when I had started getting really, really good at objections. I had already known, I had already been training objections for a couple of months, and this is right around the time where we actually launched protocols. I think this may have been a month before, and you'll see differences in my sales style now versus back then. My sales style now is very much more off of process. I don't stick very cleanly to process now. I kind of rely more on intuition and the scriptless, more so scriptless, intuition-based selling style. A lot of sales reps want to do this, but their foundations are not good enough to do that. So I recommend to all of them to not do that. But this was one of my favorite calls that I've ever had because it really helped this guy make change. He committed to it. He came in on a payment plan. He had financial blocks, fear of like, am I able to get results with this? Just fear. And I was wrestling with this guy for straight 20 minutes. We went back and forth, and I stayed so cleanly on my objection handling process that I was able to bring him in. This is on the dating offer I was closing on. This is back in 2024. So it's about a year ago, maybe just over a year ago. And it was a really good example of what to do in objections. So we'll look at this one, final call. Hopefully this has been valuable to you. Let's go ahead and dive in and see what we can learn together.
So what you're hiring us for is to really be all up in your business when it comes to dating. Situations like this don't have to happen again, and you can control what happens next to your relationships in your dating future. That third pillar, health, wealth, relationships, you can control that. That's what you're hiring us for. That's everything, Scott. Normally the next steps is we set you up with your one-on-one coach and I connect you with him to go through your first exercise and customize this roadmap. But ultimately, of course, it comes down to how you feel.
Look, it's a fair bit more than what I was expecting it was going to cost. I mean, you've explained it, so I can understand that it is. So can I just have a bit of time to think it over? Because I don't just have a...
So the microphone didn't pick it up perfectly, but I said, no problem, no issue, take the time you need. That's always the first step when it comes to objections, diffuse, no problem, no issue.
My job is working on a ship, so a lot of times I'd have to get my next... I got a ship in July, mid-July, and I'll be away for 25 days or so. So, I'd have to start after that because, I just do contract work on ships, so it doesn't always, I could take 3 months off, but I've already locked and loaded for this next ship, so I can't duck that. When do you need to know by? I mean, can I have a...
So first, we're having a time commitment issue and kind of a logistical thing on the top.
July, mid-July.
Or it's finances. Let me hear that again. Let me listen to that again. I want to make sure I lock in for a second.
You've explained it, so I can understand that it is. So
cost tied to...
Can I just have a bit of time to think it over? Because I don't just have a... my job is working on a ship, so a lot of times I'd have to get my next... I got a ship in July, mid-July, and I'll be away for 25 days or so. So, I'd have to start after that because, I just do contract work on ships, so it doesn't always, I could take 3 months off, but I've already locked and loaded for this next ship, so I can't duck that. When do you need to know by? I mean,
so he's giving me just a bunch of mess here. It's kind of like, I need to think about it. I don't like when someone says think about it, of course, because I want to know what's the real objection. And remember this, guys, if you're learning objections, the thing you're trying to do when you're handling objections is always just to find out what the real objection is as quickly as possible. That's what we want to do. We don't want there to be bullshit. We want to find out what's really going on, what's coming up for the person, for the prospect as quickly as possible, and not deal with like bullshit. I just want to deal with a real objection. I don't mind getting objections, but I want to know what the real objection actually is. So he's giving me some time thing logistically with his work that he's saying money at end of the cost. Can I think about it? We need to separate these things individually.
I mean, can I have a day or two to think about it? Or
you don't need to know at any specific time. It could be a day, it could be a year, man. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
What I'm curious about for you actually is just outside of the finances and investing, spending anything. Do you feel like this can help you make changes, Scott?
I do, yeah, I do.
So what I'm doing here is buy-in. This is what we call buy-in, where the first thing you need to know is make sure that you and the prospect are on the same page to make sure that they are aligned with whatever happens next if they were to invest. Because you can't handle objections when it's combative. You can't handle objections if the person is not aligned with what you do. We don't handle objections to get someone to go from no to yes. We handle objections to get someone to go from maybe or I love this just not now to let's do it now. Does it make sense? Objection handling is not magic. It's not taking someone who doesn't like a thing and convincing them to do something that's not in their best interest. We're trying to help someone who is aligned with something, who's like, I like how this works. I like what it sounds like. It all makes sense to me, just not now. Or making these excuses to getting them to take action on it now. So that's what I'm doing. First, buy-in.
You've done a good job. I mean, you sold it well. I mean, I think you guys can definitely, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, and why do you feel like it can help? Because that's the most important.
And then we go double buy-in, which is the next stage, figuring out why exactly this can help him.
Because, well, a lot of the things that I've been reading and doing a bit of as much research as I can. I mean, no one gives away anything for free, but from what I can garner, I was doing a lot of the classic things wrong. So, I have to get a different mindset on, I have to come at it from a different angle. I have to, it does my head in, all these people say there's this, these texts you can send to people and get them thinking about you. And I'm thinking, wonder what the fuck that's all about. I mean, I can't think, I don't know. I can't imagine what it would be, but I'm sure you guys know about it. But
there's a lot of processes, there's a lot of structures, a lot of psychology we use. Just knowing the psychology of what women respond to, right? That's the training we have, and then giving you exercises because you're going to be dating now. You're out there.
I'm out here. I'm in like there's any number of hot girls walking around the place, and I'll be keen to start practicing on them.
Oh, there we go. We want you to do more than practice. We want you to date them, not just practice, man.
Yeah, well, that's right.
To be frank with you, I'd say and I say this respectfully. I hope you don't take offense to this, but time is ticking too. Like you're not 25 years old. You don't have time to fuck about. So
no, that's right.
And I think you'll have another solid 40 years. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
But you're not a spring chicken, just a young chicken, not a spring chicken.
Yeah.
Anyway, when it comes to thinking about it, Scott, and
I love my use of humor here. I'm a funny person. So just letting the air out of the room a little bit before I absolutely cook his objections. So now let's cook.
In 1-2 days, what's coming up for you there, just to see if I can help at all? Like what kind of thought process?
So the reason I'm asking what's coming up for you is because he gave me so many things. He said time, he said money, and he said I need to think about it for getting give a concrete reason. So I'm saying, what is it you're thinking about, so we can identify and handle one of them?
Does you have what's going on?
Well, I won't be able to start the program until after I get back from the ship, because I don't want to miss 25 days of it if I've only got 3 months, you know.
In terms of missing the time, don't worry about it. We'll pause you. That's not a problem. We have
Oh,
guys
right.
because a lot of our guys are entrepreneurs. They travel a lot for work and they just have to
Oh,
pause.
okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Pause.
So he anchors. He starts off hiding behind a logistical problem. I can't start now because for 25 days I couldn't do it. So what I'm saying is, if it's just 3 weeks, a little bit more, don't worry. We'll give you access to everything, bring you in, start getting your head in the right place, and then we'll pause you. Now, I'm not sure what I do here because this is a long time ago, a while ago. But I think I would lean more into the scripting here, and I would just make it very, very clear what that roadmap would look like when we pause him. But that's what I do here. So now he can't use that as an excuse to not make change, because we handle that immediately. So now I want to see what else is up.
Fine, but at least until July, up until that time where you have to go, you'll still be able to enjoy dating and start setting up and making changes. And then in August, whenever you're done on the ship, come back in. We'll pick up right from where you left. We'll pause.
Okay. Well, that solves that problem. Yeah.
Yeah. What else is coming forward?
Okay.
So what you're doing in objections is this call's making me smile, because it was so much fun, because I used to get objections all the time because I wasn't as good at sales as I am now. So back then, because I wasn't great at creating frames in discovery, I knew the idea of it, but I wasn't really like elite at that, just framing. Now I create such strong frames where I just never get objections anymore. But this was such a good time. I miss these days of like just going back and forth at objections. But one of the things that's interesting when you're handling objections, you're doing a process of discovery. I like to see myself as a detective when I'm handling objections. I'm trying to go deeper, layer, next layer, to see what's coming up for the prospect and see what the real truth is behind everything, right? So they can give me all these masks at the top, and if you want to know how I handle objections and what my process is, go and look up Tim Ray objection handling on YouTube. Search, I'm not even kidding, search Tim Ray objection handling, and you will see my entire process of objections. Guys, like, I promise you, I'm so serious. Just look at this, Tim Ray objections, and you will see, look, my entire objection handling framework, how I close over $1 million with this objection handling framework, how to handle objections revealed, how to actually pre-handle objections, which is fucking clickbait because you don't pre-handle objections. Just objections, tons of stuff from me from objections, tons of stuff, right? So if you want to see all this, it's literally on YouTube. All you have to do is click Tim Ray objections. Okay, let's go back to this. So what my process is I'm constantly hunting for the real objection behind the actual mask. So him saying I can't do this now because I would have to pause, that's a mask. That's not an objection. It's fine. Just logistics. We'll wipe that aside. We can solve that. Now, what's actually coming up for you?
Sorry.
Well, what else is coming up for you outside the time?
Oh, no, I'm just here. Like, I can do the.
And what you'll see is if you're getting better at objections, the prospect starts to move off of their original objection. They move the objection forward, right? It goes from one spot, which is like what's coming up for you, and then they say logistics, I can't do it, schedule. And then you handle that, and then they start to move to another objection. That's how you know you're getting good, because they don't stick on the same one. What my goal is to open a door, or when they open a door with an objection, my goal is to walk through it and close it so that they can't walk through that door anymore and use that opening. Right, that's what I'm doing here. I'm closing the door on time. He can't use it anymore. He's got the time.
The odd ship. I'm basically retired here, so I've got plenty of time to focus on this. And
Awesome.
you know, I never did very well at school, so I hope I can just focus on it enough and get something out of it. That's the other thing that concerns me.
Here's the next one. Now, I never did well in school. I'm hoping that I can do well, which is fear of himself and his own competence, right? So fears are going to be broken into 3 categories. Someone's either going to be afraid because they were burned before. They're afraid of what happened in the past. They're either afraid because they lack trust. I don't trust the company. I don't trust what you guys do. I don't know enough about you, and that causes me concern, even though that should be more rare. You should not be getting fear of the company very often. Or it's going to be fear of themselves and their own competence, their own ability. Those are the 3 kinds of fears you're going to get. This one is the 3rd, fear of himself and competence.
Why, when you say focus on it, what do you mean by that?
So I clarify now. I just want to clarify and see what is behind that. What is it anchored to? What does he mean by that?
I mean, take it all in what you're trying to put forward. You know, like
Are you more of a visual learner?
I mean, I guess I'm more of a on-the-job learner, if you know what I mean. So
that's what I mean. Because I'll tell you this. I'm just going to show you, Scott. I don't know if that would also show you kind of what it looks like. I'm actually generally not supposed to do this, but I'm going to just show you what it looks like so you understand the idea. But the big thing is, like you mentioned, school. We're not giving you a bunch of information to memorize, man. That's not.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
it's actually you having conversations with women and then having conversations with us. Like that's literally the structures. I'm going to show you this. This is the course. So you see an idea of like what you're doing. I don't think I'm sharing my audio. But like
yeah.
this,
I can't,
I'm not sharing my audio, but it's fine. But because I'm not going to play each of these videos, it would just take too long.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in
yeah.
these videos, there's a lot of stuff on, like you can see the modules, creating deeper connection with women, how to build sexual tension, a lot of stuff on body language. And by the way, the videos are not the only thing. You're working with a coach who's coaching you through this, right? So
Yes, yep.
for you, I'm 100% sure. You can see some of the other topics like handling roadblocks, boundaries. We have a lot of stuff on boundaries, like setting boundaries. And then we have stuff on approaching women during the day, like literal video footage of our founder Matt going and talking to women during the day, so you can hear what it sounds like. You can repeat those actions, and really the other part of this, Scott, is just like mess up, because we want you to mess up, because if you mess up, that's where growth comes from, right?
Yep.
So
You learn from your mistakes, yeah.
right. So what I would say then is if you show up and you use the sessions with your coach, which I fully expect you will, the other part of it just comes down to you enjoying connecting with women and trying new things in terms of how you can.
Well, I
Is
love
that
to hang
something
out
you're
with
prepared to
beautiful
do?
women, you know. I love to hang out with beautiful women, and
Yeah.
you know.
But
Yeah.
the part I'm curious about also is like getting out of the comfort zone and doing and communicating differently.
Yeah.
Is that something you're prepared to do?
Oh yeah, I've got to change something up. You know, I'm not happy with it.
Sure. Yeah, and if that's the case, man, we'll be able to help. This is not designed to be complicated or difficult.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is I'm easing and trying to handle his concern around his ability to learn it. Right? Now this door is starting to be shut. We'll see how it ends. I want to see this live. I'm watching this live with you as much, because I haven't seen this in a while, so it's weird seeing myself a year ago.
It's simple as you spending time with women and just thinking differently while you're doing it, while we watch what you do, hold you accountable, and make you changes gradually. That's what it comes down to. Looking at the finances, Scott, tell me, because I know you mentioned. So
I actually made a mistake here. At the time, it wasn't a mistake, because this is where my skill set was at. So this is very, very good what I'm doing compared to most sales reps, which is why I built the sales training program right around this time. And I was closing everybody. I was just killing people in objections. It was a great time. But nowadays, I wouldn't do this. Everything I set up to this point was good. But what I would do here is I would close the door on it more concretely. I would say, does that make sense? And how do you feel? And I would ask him to, and I would open up space for him to push back at me and for him to tell me how he feels. And then if he doesn't agree and he's like, but, then I would be able to handle the objection faster probably. But it took me 20 minutes, so it wasn't sufficient. I should have actually gotten info from him on how he feels and if I handled it instead of moving on to finances. I did it a little too fast. But still. You mentioned this wasn't what you thought it would be, but it rarely is. That's how things go.
No, that's right.
Tell me where you're at financially and like what flexibility you have to invest in yourself, and if you're open to that conversation.
So I made a mistake here. I actually assumed that I had closed the door on that when I don't know if I have, because look, there's 13 more minutes left of objection handling, maybe less, because at the end he goes and gets his card. So it's closer to like, yeah, actually it's around 13 minutes, because it was actually 21 minutes he got his card.
Hard bulk at 4,000 Australian dollars, but 4,000 US dollars is a big kick on from that. Probably looking at 6,000 Australian dollars. But I just got to think
put it into perspective, Scott. Also, what you want and having that kind of future with women, that's also a lot. It's huge.
Yeah, well, that's right. I know it's a small amount really to me.
So what I'm doing there is called a financial reframe, or we call it a value reframe. So if someone's saying this is 6K, this is a lot of money, what I'm saying is, yes, it is a lot. Also, the future that you want is a lot, which means relative to what you're investing here with us, compared to the future you want to have, it's not a lot, right? I could even say this is $20,000. Again, it needs to also be within what the market charges too. But let's say it was $20,000. If you're able to attract amazing women and build beautiful, healthy relationships for the rest of your life, is $20,000 really a lot compared to that future? So that's what I'm doing here. Normally, I lean more into that and add more scripting around it, but I did enough of a job here to handle that value reframe.
To invest in your future, but I mean,
I don't. To be clear, I'm not saying that. I don't think it's a small amount, man. I invest right now. I have a business coach, and I pay him $4,000 per month to work with him, like on a consistent basis. And I wouldn't say that that's a little bit of money. I don't think 4,000 is not a lot. But what I think though is the same way you would invest in your health, the same way you would invest in, again, running a business or something like that. This is also an investment to make for your future. So that's all. When someone says it's a lot, I'm like, hell yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot of money. But also having Mrs. Wright, who's some beautiful 27-year-old on your arm,
right.
that you spent
how much
10 years with.
How much money do you waste? Like, I mean, I know what I've just wasted on my ex. I know how much that cost me. So
exactly.
That's when you start stacking it up,
Do you see how I don't let him push back even on my side? So he said, it's not a lot of money. I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to be a sales guy. I'm playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. That's why I love this game of sales and communication. It's the purest form of sales is one of the most pure forms of communication. It's beautiful. So what he said is, I said, what you want is a lot. He said, yeah, you're right. This is not a lot. And I know what he meant. He was being in good faith. But I'm even going to argue against myself here. I'm like, no. I'm not even going to say that. I think it is a lot of money. This costs a lot. It's expensive. Absolutely. But, and then I qualified it. That makes him lean into what I'm saying even more, right? Gives me more power to handle the objection. The goal is to save you money long term. So going back to this, like
what we normally do with conversations around finances is we just customize it according to where you're flexible with and what you can invest. We can't change prices per se, but we can change how you pay it. So for a lot of our guys, especially guys in Canada and Australia, we just split the payments up over a couple months, make it more flexible for you. So tell me,
I'm
like,
not working consistently. I'm not working consistently, so it would merely be a one-off payment deal for me. I've got a lot of money invested, and a lot of it's over here. Not a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money for me. It's enough to keep me going. If I am, if I don't get crazy with it, and
sure.
I'm building it up every year as well. But look, I'll just have to sum it up. I work out get the exchange rate, and I trade the Australian US dollar all the time. So that's not a problem. I work that out pretty quick. But just what it's going to cost, and I just hope I can. I'm a dumb bastard, so I hope you guys can get it through to me. What you're trying to teach me, I pick it up and get it on board, if you know what I mean.
You see, here's the second manifestation of fear. And oh wow, I forgot this happened. This is amazing. So this is proof that I've gotten way better at objections, actually. Because here, I didn't close the door earlier. You see how I did not close the door on this? I never closed it the first time. And because I didn't close the door on the first time, it actually opens up again for him to give me an objection here. And he gives me an objection again, right? Which is the same objection as earlier. Can I actually get it? What I should have done was close the door and asked him and opened it up and said, does it make sense what I'm saying? He would have then given me this and doubled down, and then I would have handled it again, and then the door would have been shut. But because I never shut the door before, it comes back. You see? But I'm prepared to handle it because I got very, very, very good at sales by this point. And we'll see.
We've got a guarantee, Scott, or we have it written into our agreement. Our guarantee is that we're going to work with you one-on-one indefinitely until you see results. The standard we have is 3 months.
So, okay, this is really interesting here. Normally, I would never, ever give someone a guarantee this early. 2 things, though. Number 1, I didn't give him our money-back guarantee. So I'm not using some bullshit guarantee thing here to try to close him like, we'll give you your money back. That's nonsense. The offer that I was closing on does have a money back guarantee for some prospects. If they need it, you can use it. But I wasn't giving him a money back guarantee. I was actually strategically using my guarantee early for a very, very, very tangible, specific reason. Because his fear is it takes me a long time to achieve results. So I was saying, dude, we'll just work with you indefinitely until you see results. Don't worry about the length of time. The program is 3 months. But if he's not happy and hasn't seen results in 3 months, we would keep working with him. Right? No, and wouldn't be a problem for us. Right? So the reason I'm telling him that is because that's what he needed based on his fear. Right? You can work with this indefinitely. So now I'm wiping off his ability to say, it's going to take me a long time to figure this out, because I'm like, we're going to hold your hand and we're going to work with you through this through the entire time, no matter how long it takes. So now he doesn't have that line of logic anymore. He doesn't have that flawed logic. And normally I do not like giving guarantees early, though, but in this case I felt I needed to because it was a perfect way to handle his concern. To our agreement, our guarantee is that we're going to work with you one-on-one indefinitely until you see results. The standard we have is 3 months, and coming into the program is a 3-month agreement that we have. But our policy, and we haven't done this a lot because we haven't needed to. We have done this with some guys who just took longer to really get to where they wanted to be. We have running the business, right? And our policy is that if, depending on your results and you determine when you're happy with results, we continue giving you support and one-on-one coaching and training as long as it takes for you to see results.
That's fair enough. That's great. That'll help.
He doesn't have this objection anymore. He can't say that. Like, he can still have fear, but he can't anchor to this as a reason why not to do this now. I've wiped that off the table, logically.
Decision making too. Look, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to sign up tonight, but if you just give me a bit of time to think about it, and if I have some way to contact you or whoever I need to contact,
Sure.
Come on.
Now it's very, very important that I diffuse. Diffusing is not a problem. Go take your time. It's all good. That's a huge thing I need to do right now before I continue handling the objection.
For sure. You can reach out to me. I'll give you my...
So I go really hard with the diffusing. I just tell him, reach out to me personally.
WhatsApp. Do you use WhatsApp?
Yes, I do.
Just gonna... Is it the message that the phone number you signed up for this with? Is that what the WhatsApp is connected to?
Yes, yeah.
Which would be the, what is it? +61. Yeah, I'll send you a message there later. Can I ask Scott before I bounce off of here? I see your number. It's +61 418. I know you mentioned.
Now, if you can pause the calls, I mean, the ships was going to be a bit of a could have been a deal breaker.
Is it just the money? Because I know you mentioned.
Now, if you can
I want you guys. I don't want to play his number. I'm too lazy to edit all of it. So I want you guys to hear how I asked this.
I know you mentioned.
Now, if you can pause the calls, I mean, the ships.
Is anything else coming up for you besides like finances? Is it just the money? Because I know you mentioned.
Now, if you can pause the calls, I mean, the ships was going to be a bit of a could have been a deal breaker, but it's not a deal breaker. So I just have to have a sit down, have a think, and see. Just click off, just see, the cost to benefit reward, cost of whatever.
Can I challenge you?
Boom. Now I have another layer of objections. So what I do is an extreme diffuser. Say, cool, I'll text you. And then I say, what else is coming up for you? Is it just the finances? Because I know it's not. He's still in a fear state. So now I challenge him another layer.
Something, Scott. If it's cost to benefit, what I would tell you is like, you're not going to be able to know that just from time. It's impossible. Honestly, I say this respectfully, but you'll only be able to know that by doing it. The
Yeah,
80%
I realize that.
like taking a day, take a week. There's no way in that time you'll know if this is more for you, because the only way you'll be able to experience it is doing it. And the only thing
Yeah,
that'll
no,
help you do that is just
I fully,
information.
even from some of the things you've told me about you and your girlfriend, I'm already starting to see that it's a totally different way to approach all of this. And you know, you haven't given much away, but I mean, you have, you know, it has.
There's no secrets, by the way, so we don't mind sharing it all. It's just it would take a long time to coach you through it, and that's what you pay us for.
You want to get the 4,000 in the bank before you start giving too much away as well.
Yeah, well, I can't sit on calls with you here every day for every week for like 3 months, because that's our program. You know what I mean? No, so I just the challenge I was making is like there's this saying that we have, and it's the best decisions are made not with time, but they're made through information. So if you feel like there's information lacking that I can share with you, more than happy to share that with you. But if it's just a matter of time, Scott, I want to kind of challenge you a bit that I don't feel like time is the thing that's going to really turn the door and open the castle for you for your dating future. It's not necessarily taking more time, because like what else would there be to consider in the 1 to 2 days that you would take? On the finances, I get that. Like that's just sorting out how we can do it financially. But what else would come up in those 1 to 2 days that would help you make a decision?
It's going to be more the financials, I guess, you know.
Sure.
And
so this is great. Now we're in a position where he's moving off of his original fear, because this fear doesn't have any logical grounds. I'm challenging on it. So I'm slowly closing door, making it much harder for him to avoid making change, unless he finds a great way to avoid it, you know, logically, then hey, you probably shouldn't do this if you can give me a good reason. And instead, now we're just going to make this about money. And money is something that you can always handle.
as I say, I mean, you've intrigued me. You've intrigued me with just a few things you said about setting boundaries and that. I'm very intrigued now to see what, you know, I know I'm a pussy. I was a pussy with her. So I can't keep taking that approach. You know, that's never going to. So.
In terms of the finances, Scott, like what did you come on the call prepared to invest? What was your budget? Just
I had
was
no
in your
idea.
range, like I could. Well, you said it was a bit.
I don't like this. I actually don't like right now. It's good compared to what a lot of sales reps do, but I think that I could do an even better version of this now that we've ran protocols now for like a year and a half, and I've gotten so much more data on sales since this. And again, we had a lot of guys who were making a bunch of money from this exact process here, but the way we train it now is even more advanced and just more efficient, more smooth. So it's not bad, but I think that I'm jumping to finances too fast here. I wouldn't want to do that. I would want to actually sit back for one more second and stick more so in this thing of you can't know the future. I would want to stick there and sit with that for a little bit more.
A bit more than you expected. So what was in your head as this is comfortable for you to maybe start?
Probably 3,000 Aussie, which is a long way from 4,000 US. You know,
but, I mean, we have payment structures and stuff. It's not. We have a lot of guys getting payments of all kinds of ways.
Yeah, but I'd say that doesn't really help me that much because I don't really have an income anymore. You know, after you go on
the ship, you're not getting paid.
No, I just do contract work for 25 days and then I'm waiting for the next job. Then.
But you get paid from doing that, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
When new payments come from the ship.
Yeah, and I'd probably leave it till after I get paid, and then kick off the course. So I, you know.
When do you get paid from being on the ship?
It's at the end of the cruise. So, and I've got it's mid-July, and it's going to be 25 or 26 days away from. So you'd get. And then I've got to put an invoice in. I have to put an invoice in, and then I have to get paid. Yeah.
And that would come through sometime in August, though.
Yeah, almost like somewhere like that. Yeah, or maybe late July. End of August. Yes. Sorry.
Or worst case, July, best case, something in August.
Something in August. You're right, because 25 days. You know, so be 30 days before I get paid. So.
It's not a problem. Scott, why don't we do this, man? And of course, it's if you're good with it. I don't want you because this is May, June, or no, we're starting June now, so it'll be June. And when do you go on cruise? When in July?
They're telling me like the 11th or 12th of July. 11th
or 12th. Okay, so you're gonna be in this for like a month minimum, maybe a little tiny bit more than a month in the Philippines, going out and doing dating. Here's what I'd be willing to do if you're okay to have that conversation and look at that, because the biggest thing for me is I hate when guys are like, this works for me, I like this, I'm gonna delay it. I don't, excuse my French, I don't fuck with that. Not anything disrespectful, but just if you know this can help you and we can make a change, and it's like I won't say no brainer, but one step away from that, I'm like, let's work with you now and start serving you. So I would love to do that. I'm willing to do this, man, and this is quite flexible. It's almost ridiculous, but what you could do is come into the program. $1,500. That's less than even the Aussie number that you mentioned earlier. $1,500.
Yeah.
Do the month. You get everything. You're still in the community. When the ship comes, what is it? I'm trying to call it the ship. What do you call this thing in July?
Well, the voyage. I go on a ship. Yeah.
Okay, the ship. When the ship comes, when the voyage, the cruise. I don't know what it's called. But when your ship project, when you go to work, let's use that in July. You pause the coaching then, just the one-on-ones. You still have access to all the materials. You can look through it, anything you want. And then the other balance, which the remainder would be $2,500. You can split that into 2 months across August and September. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good little compromise.
And you'll have gotten paid
yeah.
already as well. Just handle it once you get paid.
Yeah, that's
Paid
right.
in two
I mean,
parts, or pay it at once.
Look, I could come up with the money, but I just
So basically, what I ended up doing here was a modified version of a payment plan we already had, because we had a really flexible plan where he could split it even less than that, because the program's 3 months, but we had structures where you could break it into like 4 months, even 5 months. So this payment structure that I'm giving him is not our lowest structure, actually. So I say that, and then I make him a really flexible one where you could just split the tail end of the program into however many months afterwards, so 2 months. So it worked out mathematically, payment structure.
just had a few big outlays in Australia, so I don't want to, and I've got it set up over here that I get paid monthly to keep myself going, from my investments. But yeah.
Our goal here, Scott, is not to be sticklers with the money. It's not to be sticklers. And I mean, we want to get paid. We're a business.
Yeah, of course.
It's a relationship. We know that once you're in our community and a part of our family, as we call it, and we're coaching you, training you, we know the rest of it you're going to be good for.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
It's a really good compromise, I think. Yes. Okay.
Cool. So come on in for 15, and then the rest of it we'll have it where it would be due, not the rest of the full balance, but August 31st, another installment, and then the final balance complete by September, last day of September, whatever that be. So total will be 4,000 by then.
Sounds good.
And we'll pause the training while you're on the ship. Just let us know how many days you need to pause, and then just come back in and book your sessions once you're back.
Yep. All right. That's very flexible.
Something that I should have done here also is gotten him to concede something, where I should have said, I'm willing to do this if you make a review for us once you do results. I was doing this back then, but I think with him I kind of let him off the hook and decided not to, because I felt I had everything I needed here. But that's another thing that I could have done, because I gave him a lot of concessions. In his mind, at least, they were concessions. So I don't want to sell based on I'll give you this, I'll give you that, if that makes sense. I want to sell based on essentially based on, are you committed to doing this, and put the burden of proof on him for the commitment. But either way, we got him over the line.
Very flexible on your part, and I appreciate it. Yeah.
And I appreciate you being here, man, and considering us to coach you and work with you, and I appreciate that as well. What I'll do, Scott, if this works for you, then is there's a couple things I'll send you. We bring you into the community and give you access, and then I'm going to share my screen with you and go.
And then you guys can see here, he goes and gets his card.
Access to all this stuff through that email.
Yeah, just give me a sec. I've got to find a credit card somewhere.
Yeah, take your time. No worries. I'll be here.
Yeah, and then we're in. Pretty much simple as that. Well, sales. Fun. I love it. I love sales. Go make yourself some money. Use the things in this training, in this video, to help yourself make money, to push hard, to change your life, get on an amazing role, or crush on the role that you're already on, and make the kind of money that's going to put you in a better position, put you, your family in a better position to succeed. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales over the last 2.5 years. Have had our sales reps earn hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions, millions of dollars in cash collected across multiple offers, and been able to change a bunch of lives. If you want me to help you with this directly, what you can do is book a strategy call with our team below. The link is below. It's just a 15-minute call. There's no pitch. We don't sell you anything. So don't worry. I'm not going to handle your objections the way I handled Scott's objections here, because it's not a sales call. It's just a call where we see if we can help you. We break down some strategies for you to make more money in sales. And if you feel like we can help, then we'll book you on a demo call with myself or someone else on the team, on that call, if you fight me, then I will handle your objections ethically. But we'll do that. So book a strategy call, 15 minutes, zero risk to you. We're not going to pitch you anything on the call. We have a strict no pitching policy as well. And I'll see you there. Goodbye. Go make some money. Hopefully you learn from this. Don't just watch it and observe it and use it as entertainment, but actually take it and go make some money and change your life with it. See you later.